The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. The Edmonton Eskimos are still smarting from an upset loss to Ottawa last week. They'll try to get back on track at the expense of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But the Bombers have home field advantage and lots of confidence after a fast start. It is Edmonton versus Winnipeg to start Week 4 on the CFL on CBC. Only a few years ago, the Bombers were led by one of the CFL's all-time great quarterbacks. When Tom Clements retired, the search began for a replacement. Sean Salisbury had a crack at the job, long enough to share in one Grey Cup. While Salisbury struggled last year, Tom Burgess was growing discontent with his role in Saskatchewan. He wanted to be number one, and with Winnipeg, he is. The Bombers hope his acquisition means the search for Clements' replacement is over. Burgess has had his moments to start the season, but it's been the play of the defense that's had the most to do with the Bombers' surprising 2-1 record. Tracy Ham, who can shake off injuries, has had everything to do with the Eskimos' winning record. As far as CFL quarterbacks go, Ham is state-of-the-art. He can run as well as most running backs, and he can throw as well as any quarterback. He did get a reminder in Ottawa last week that he's only human, as did all the Eskimos, who lost a race to 50 with the Rough Riders. Ham was up and running the next day, and Joe Paragelli knows his best chance of winning is with Ham at quarterback. A perennial favorite and an early season surprise are set to meet at Winnipeg Stadium on the end of a boiling hot day on the prairies. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Winnipeg, where it reached 32 degrees today. It's cooled down somewhat, but it's still hot, and that means all the big men in tonight's game are in for crash diets. And these are less than ideal conditions for a defense to have to run miles after the league's most mobile quarterback, who is the Eskimos' Tracy Ham, but the Bombers must do it tonight. Now let's hear from Don Whitman and Ron Lancaster.
Scott, teams have been scoring points at a record pace this year in the CFL. Ron, it's a quarterback's delight, but it must be driving defensive coaches crazy.
Well, it sure is. You know, they can't understand it. They're working just as hard. But, you know, talking to Don Southern today, he gives credit to the quarterbacks. He said they're not sitting in the pocket. They're all mobile. They're all reading the blitz and getting rid of the ball. And he said that'll drive you crazy and it'll put points on the board.
Last year, the Edmonton Eskimos had the best defensive record in the Canadian Football League. They gave up an average of 17 points per game, a total of 302 for the season. This year, they're averaging 36 points per game against an amazing 19-point per game difference.
Oh, they got to bring that down, and I think they will. They're too good a football team to have 36 a game scored.
In Winnipeg, there's a bit of a quarterbacking controversy. Tom Burgess or Danny McManus as number one?
I find it amazing that Tom Burgess has come in here as the leader of this Bomber team and all of a sudden find a quarterback controversy. Danny McManus has only thrown 8 passes. Now, I just don't understand how he can be as good as Tom Burgess yet. A few more games for Burgess, a few more games for McManus. We'll see.
Well, Mike Riley, though, has changed his thinking. If Burgess does struggle tonight, rest assured Danny McManus will get a chance to take over. Scott?
Well, Don, several key players are not playing in Week 4 of the CFL schedule. We'll update you on their status when we go coast to coast on Live at the Half from Winnipeg Stadium, and we'll spend a quiet moment away from the ballpark with Eskimo quarterback extraordinaire Tracy Ham, who took some big hits last week, but he is ready to go tonight. You're watching the CFL on CBC.
The CFL on CBC, an exclusive presentation of Miller Lite, goes down great among friends. By Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL. And by Diet 7-Up, challenge your taste.
Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium. The temperature is still 30 degrees. The wind shouldn't really be a factor this evening, and there could be occasional cloudy periods later this evening. However, we don't anticipate any precipitation. Jake Ireland is the man in charge this evening. He and the other members of the officiating staff move into position as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers prepare to kick off. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with a record of 2 wins and a loss atop the Eastern Division. The Edmonton Eskimos with an identical 2-1 record in the West. Last year, Edmonton won both games against Winnipeg by rather lopsided scores. Darryl Colbert on the kickoff return. Winnipeg, coming into this game, had plans to kick it away from the Gizmo, and I think that's a wise decision.
I think so, and there's a guy you have to stop. You know, if you can keep Tracy Ham under control, you have a chance to win. But he's running the ball well, throwing the ball well. The only thing he'd like to cut down on top of him today is the number of interceptions. He said he's thrown too many.
Joe Faragelli, the head coach, said this year Tracy Ham would throw more than he would run. Well, at his current pace, Tracy Ham will break the rushing record for quarterbacks that he established last year. Last year, he ran for 1,005 yards. He's under some pressure, gets outside into the middle, and Marco Sincar has a first down.
Well, that's what he does right here. He shows you right away what he knows how to do. He's such a good runner. He uses his eyes as well as his feet. He gets outside, and then when he gets outside, Marco Sincar does what he should. That's find a hole. We think the inside receivers, and particularly Craig Ellis, has to be stopped tonight. Henry Williams, we think, from kick returns. Winnipeg does a great job on that team, but he's got to get yards, and Reggie Taylor's about due to start running. He's their leading rusher, but they got to get him on track.
It's 1st and 10 Edmonton. The ball is at the 54-yard line. While the Toronto Argonauts have gone with a no-huddle offense, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, since that Toronto game, have gone with a no-huddle defense. Reggie Taylor, the ball carrier, he has a gain of 10 yards.
Right away, get that counter play going. Reggie Taylor coming back to the short side. It puts the pressure on the linebackers, and they are the key to the Winnipeg defense. Greg Battle, Tyrone Jones, the linebackers, one outside, one inside. Quincy Williams was a linebacker. He's up front, and he can rush the quarterback. That's what he has to do tonight.
And it is a first down as Taylor, on his first carry of the ball game, picks up 10 yards. Winnipeg will give a 5 linebacker package for the Eskimo offensive line to contend with at various times in tonight's ball game.
I don't know what it'll do to a quarterback. I've never seen that situation. I'm kind of looking forward to that one.
Tracy Ham can't find a receiver, but this is what he does best, get away from difficulty, and he dumps the ball off, a gain of about 4, maybe 5 yards. Blake Marshall on the receiving end of the throw. They'll spot it at the 40-yard line, actually, so it's almost a pickup of 6.
Blake Marshall did a wise thing. He ran his pattern, and when Ham started to scramble, he just stayed in one place, and when Ham came out, he's who he saw. If he didn't see him there, he'd throw it over his head if he was covered.
2nd and 4 for the Eskimos. Hand off to Taylor, and Taylor is going to get the first down and more inside the 35, stopped at the 33-yard line. We talked about last year and the easy time the Eskimos had with Winnipeg, winning both games 45-7 on October 9th here in Winnipeg, and 2 weeks later 34-11 at Commonwealth Stadium.
They had a pretty easy time with everybody last year. When you really get down to 16-2, that's amazing.
1st and 10, wide open over the middle is Blake Marshall. This is something different in this ball game for the Eskimos. Usually when they're throwing over the middle, it's to Reggie Taylor, but Blake Marshall is the man that Tracy Ham has found twice so far in the game.
The thing that's good about it is that the Winnipeg defense drops out into the zone. So you see the linebackers drop deep, you take the easy stuff underneath, and Marshall picks up 8 yards. And if Ham is patient, he can move the ball. When he gets a man coverage, go after him deep with his outside. But otherwise, just take what they give you and don't get greedy.
2nd and 3 for the Eskimos. The ball is at the Winnipeg 26-yard line. Blake Marshall again. This time he stopped right at the line of scrimmage. He had all of those linebackers converge on him, led by Tyrone Jones, back in the Winnipeg Blue Bomber lineup full-time this year. He joined the team late last season.
Watch coming from the right of the screen. Right here, 35 comes down really hard. He did not allow Craig Ellis to block him, and when Tyrone Jones closes down that hard, there's just nowhere for the ball carrier to run.
Mike Roddy feels that his team this year is much more aggressive. He feels they're much tougher and also feels they're a faster football team than last year.
And he said they're playing with more intensity, and he doesn't know why, except he's happy.
Field goal attempt by Matt Caridi from 33 yards, and it is good. So the Edmonton Eskimos enjoy a 3-0 lead early in the ball game. On their first drive, they put it through the uprights for a 3-0 lead.
I settle up. I make the choices. I 7 Up. No one tells me what to do.
In Winnipeg, 67% of football fans tested preferred the taste of
I 7 Up.
over Diet Coke.
Do it right, Daddy. Do it right. I 7 Up. Everybody. I 7 Up.
Challenge your taste.
3-0. The Edmonton Eskimos lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 12:02 remaining in the opening quarter here at Winnipeg Stadium. Tom Burgess, the starting quarterback for the Blue Bombers. He did not finish last week's game, a 24-23 loss to the BC Lions. He left the game when it was 21-9 BC. Danny McManus took over and directed the Blue Bombers to 2 touchdowns before Lou Pasaglia kicked the game-winning field goal from 42 yards out in the final play of the game.
Well, you know, last year, Burgess and Austin and Saskatchewan started 9 games apiece, so he's still trying to be the starter, and he comes here where he thought he was, and he's got a problem.
Ball fumbled by Robert Mims, who has got it. The Eskimos indicate they've got it, but I think Mims managed to pounce on top of that ball.
Looked like just an exchange problem. I think the penetration by the Eskimo defense, Mims took his eyes off the ball, and the ball popped up in the air. Winnipeg has got to get Mims running with the football. Then the receiver that they've got to get deep is Tuttle. They're going to try to take Murphy away, but the reason I think Murphy's the key, he's only averaging 7 yards a catch, and that's unusual for him.
Second down. Here comes Ruck from the outside. Pressure up the middle with Danny Bass, and Danny Bass got to him.
Well, Bass is off and flying with the Eskimos. You know, he's their leading tackler with 15 tackles, 2 sacks, and they get this pressure. This is what Coach Southern was saying last week in Ottawa. Until we start getting after the quarterback and start covering people. But you see Danny Bass come around off of a stunt by Bourgeau, goes inside. They open a lane. Bass takes it. He sacks the quarterback.
The initial pressure came from the outside from Larry Ruck, and Bass coming up the middle was able to get to Tom Burgess, and Bob Cameron stands at his own 10-yard line for this third down punt. Only one man back, and that's Henry Williams. He waits for it at the 41. Gets away from the first tackle, still on his feet, and down at the 41-yard line. He did a lot of running to stay right at the point where he received that kick, a 46-yard boot by Bob Cameron. Winnipeg very pleased with the work they've done this year on special teams, and they came into the game feeling they could control the gizmo.
That's what you have to do. That's why we feel Williams has to be an offensive key, because that's field position. If you can return kicks and get the field position, but as you saw right here, Winnipeg just kept them coming in waves, and they've got their linebackers and receivers up there. Zatilny along with the linebackers. That's good coverage, people.
Reggie Taylor takes the pitch to the short side, cuts back in, and he gets a gain of 8, maybe 9 yards, depending on where they spot it, as he came up to the 48 or 49-yard line.
And the Eskimos run the football. Because of the style of defense Winnipeg plays, they try to get that pressure inside with all those linebacker stunts. So you can toss outside of it, and then every now and then, if you hit it just right, straight ahead, you'll spring into the secondary and you'll be running clear. So this is where we look for him to run wide on the toss and then try to hit Taylor real quick inside.
Reggie Taylor was the leading rusher in the CFL last year. Coming into this game, he ranked number 3 behind a very impressive Reggie Barnes of Ottawa and Robert Mims of Winnipeg. And Reggie Taylor is stopped right at the line of scrimmage.
And when the Winnipeg defense hits it on the nose, that's what you're going to get. They run those stunts inside with those linebackers, with Michael Gray, who's back for this game. When they hit the defense just perfect, they're going to stop it for no gain, and that's the risk you take, so they have to kick the ball.
Michael Gray was out of the ball game last week in that loss to the BC Lions. He returned for this one, and the Blue Bombers are happy to have him back at that defensive end position. Ray McAreedy is averaging about 4 yards per punt less than his Winnipeg counterpart, Bob Cameron. That one very close to being blocked. Matt Pierce, who already has a blocked punt this year, just missed it. Ken Winey nowhere to go. He's stopped back at the 25-yard line.
I think a lot of teams really concerned themselves with Rod Hill. He's such an excellent defensive player and a kick blocker. They have to find him, and sometimes a guy like Pierce, or they worry so much about Hill, you get pressure from the inside, but that one was almost blocked.
A 35-yard kick that time by McAreedy.
Here comes the pressure coming from the left side. Right there. Almost got it. And they'll stay after him now, because you come close, you always think you can get the next one.
The pitch to Mims, nowhere to go. This Eskimo defense that surrendered 50 points last week to the Ottawa Roughriders fired up for this game. Leroy Blue has moved from a down lineman position to a linebacker spot, replacing Jeff Braswell.
And that allows Michel Bourgeot to start at that defensive end, and they're really happy the way he gets off the ball and rushes the quarterback. And on that play, he got penetration in, and the ball carrier turned in, and Leroy Blue is there to make the hit.
It's 2nd and 10. The ball at the 25-yard line. Burgess under pressure again, gets the pass away. It bounced in front of James Murphy. So it's 2 and out again for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Initial pressure, Stuart Hill. You know, this Eskimo club, when you look at them, they really don't have any weaknesses, and everybody plays so well. They've got to just get everything together. Now we've seen Hill with pressure, Ruck with pressure, and Bass with a sack. That's not bad.
This is a milestone game for Stuart Hill, his 100th CFL regular season game. Bob Cameron stands at the 11-yard line for this punt. His last punt was at the 10-yard line. So the Bombers have really done nothing on offense. Williams takes it at the 46. And again, good downfield coverage by the Blue Bombers, stopping him at the 53-yard line. 8:18 is the time remaining in the opening quarter. Winnipeg leads the East with 2 wins, 1 loss. Ottawa, Toronto, and Hamilton all have won a game. In the West, the Calgary Stampeders, the only unbeaten team in the CFL, back-to-back victories over the Saskatchewan Roughriders after a season-opening tie with the BC Lions. The Edmonton Eskimos with a record of 2-1. And the Grey Cup champions are in last place in the West.
They just got to get on track. You know, they're going through the same thing Winnipeg is in a way. You know, last year they had Burgess. This year Austin has to carry the load by himself until Jeff Bentram starts to feel at home. And it takes a while.
1st and 10 Edmonton. The Eskimos at their own 53-yard line. Williams gets a gain of 8 yards. He's stopped by Quincy Williams with help from Ken Petway.
That's a funny play to put 3 receivers to the wide side of the field and then throw it out to Williams and try to bring Pierre Vercheval, the left guard, out and lead it. And that's an awful long way for him to run to get underneath a screen to the wide receiver.
You may remember 2 years ago when the Gizmo returned 2 punts for touchdowns in a game. He wanted one of our CBC melon jackets. Scott Oak gave him his. He asked if he was still wearing that melon jacket. He's, no way, man. I don't want to go back to the future.
That was a good line yesterday. I don't know what we're going to call here. I thought Edmonton jumped offside, but we're going to see.
Flags on both sides of the field, and Jake Ireland, the referee, will give us an explanation as to the penalty call.
Offside, Winnipeg number 44. Procedure, Edmonton number 63. Repeat, 2nd down.
Leon Hatziano was called for the offside, and the procedure call against the Edmonton Eskimos. So, as you heard, they'll play over the 2nd down. Brett Williams in there on this short yardage situation for the Eskimos. 2nd and 2. Blake Marshall should have it. Edmonton has an interesting rotation system with their running backs. Blake Marshall, Chris Johnstone, and Michael Souls substitute themselves. The coaches do not send them in. They make the decision themselves as to who should go into the ballgame.
Pretty good as long as everybody's fair about it. You know, some guys get in there and would never leave, but like Coach Barrigelli has explained it to us twice now. He said, I don't have time to worry about making substitutions. He says, I got a lot of other things. He said, leave it up to them, and they'll look after it, and they do a good job of it.
First and 10 Edmonton. The ball at the Winnipeg 46, 6:34 remaining in the opening quarter. The Eskimos lead 3-0. Ham was throwing for Keith Wright. He was being covered by Les Brown.
Threw that one a little bit early and threw it in the ground. Wright needed a little bit more time to get open, and the ball just bounced on him. I don't know if it was the pressure or what, but the ball just was very poorly thrown, hit about 8 yards underneath.
It's been a short work week in preparation for this game for both teams. The Eskimos playing on Thursday night, flying home on Friday. Winnipeg playing on Friday night, not returning home until Sunday. So really both teams only had 2 days of practice and getting ready for this game. Tracy Ham looking deep. There's nobody near it. As a matter of fact, the man who leads the Blue Bombers in interceptions, Les Brown, had the best chance of anybody to grab that throw. It was intended for Colbert or Keith Wright. Keith Wright, I think, was the man nearest to it.
He sprinted away from the pressure, and he had one-on-one coverage. He was covered. He just tried to throw it away, and Les Brown couldn't get to it. The receiver, or Les did a great job on the receiver, so just falls harmlessly to the ground.
6:05 remaining in this first quarter. Ray McAreedy stands at his own 50-yard line. Winey and Zatilny are back to accept this third down kick. This one bounces back into the middle of the field. Winey had better hurry up because the kicker is coming upfield, but Winey managed to get to it and then runs out of room on the sideline.
Just at the last minute, Les Brown made a good block for Winey, and that enabled him to get outside.
So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who have done nothing offensively, will take over with 5:42 remaining in the quarter.
This is a knee brace or a knee stabilizer, and the Bombers used to have a policy that said all their linebackers and linemen had to wear these things right about here, taped on for knee stabilization. But the new Players Association agreement says you can't force a player to wear a knee brace if he doesn't want to. As a result, many of the Bombers have given it up. The general manager doesn't like it. He figures it could cost his team as much as $100,000 a year in injury money. Don?
Well, there are many players in the past who have said that the knee brace prevented them from very serious injuries.
Well, I think if, you know, when they come up with that kind of technology and a new invention and it can help you, I think you wear it, especially in the games. Maybe you shouldn't wear it in practice because it would get awkward every day, but I think you need it out here.
So far, Tom Burgess has been unable to find any weaknesses in that Edmonton defense. Rick House could not hang on to the pass. He had maneuvered in behind Kevin Clark, but he had to make an over-the-shoulder catch, and he could not pull it in.
What's nice about this, watch the throw of Tom Burgess. He throws it right at the back. Say, he's covered. He can't throw it out in front, so throw it right at the back of the defender. He cannot possibly turn and get it, and if the receiver will hesitate for a second, he can make the catch. That time he just didn't hold on. But that takes practice, quarterback receiver.
Second and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 26-yard line. The Eskimos lead by a score of 3-0. Burgess won't get a chance to throw. The Toaster has a sack. There's also a penalty flag on the play. Now, this was in the Edmonton backfield.
Holding. Winnipeg number 64. Decline. Third down.
A holding call against Bob Molly. Some have suggested that one of the reasons for the increased number of points this year is the liberalization of the offensive line holding calls.
Oh, C-64 turned to the inside. Yeah, he did drag down Mike Walker, but they had a game on, and it brought Brett Williams clean. He's the guy that gets the sack, but you work together up there as a unit, so because of Brett Williams getting the sack, Mike Walker gets held. But it doesn't matter. They got what they wanted.
Excellent kick by Bob Cameron. Tyrone Jones is the first man to make contact, but the gizmo slips away. Tyrone Jones appeared to have Williams way back at the 25-yard line, but he escaped the pressure after a booming 60-yard kick by Bob Cameron. He leads the league in punting average.
Well, it doesn't surprise you the way Cameron kicks the football. Year in, year out, he's Mr. Consistency, and he boomed it downfield, almost outkicked the coverage. But this shows you the strength of Henry Williams right here. I mean, Tyrone Jones has a pretty good hold of him, and he fights him right off and brings it back about 10 yards.
Back to the live action, 1st and 10 Edmonton from the 36. Tracy Ham is going to be hauled down back at the 23-yard line. Stan Nicholas, who is having an outstanding season, got to the quarterback.
The big thing, Tracy Ham went back, and he wanted to throw the ball to Craig Ellis, and James West, watch, he'll look to his left. James West makes the coverage. He can't throw it. He's got to pull it down. Here comes trouble. Nicholas is there, Tyrone Jones and Michael Gray. They're all there.
Coach Mike Rowley was saying that Stan Nicholas this year is playing like he did in 1988. He said he came to camp extremely fit and ready to go. Colbert's open. He only has left Brown to beat. Brown managed to slow him up, and Petway got to him. He fumbles the ball. Darrell Sampson has it for Winnipeg.
This is the play why Joe Farragelli tells you Tracy Ham's not going to run as much. He made a nice read here. He got one-on-one coverage backside, throws a great ball. Excellent throw. Les Brown is beaten, but he loses the football. And again, it's from behind. Guys are coming from behind in every game we've seen this year and stripping that ball and turning it over.
1st and 10 Winnipeg from the 44, the best field position they've had, and the pass is complete to Rick House. The game will be limited to about 5 yards as he had 2 defenders on him almost immediately.
Well, the Eskimo defense, Keith Gooch just sat back, and when the ball was thrown, he reacted up to make the tackle. Really, Burgess would have liked to throw that ball downfield, but Eskimos wouldn't let him, so throw it in the flat and take 5, and you get another shot at it.
Well, Rick House, of course, wears 2 Grey Cup rings with Winnipeg in 1984 and with Edmonton in 1987. Darrell Sampson, the man who recovered that fumble. Here's that inside pattern, and it's incomplete. Eric Streeter is the man they threw to, and Winnipeg will be forced to kick again. Sampson led the team in special team tackles last week against BC. They send out the backs and their linebacking contingent on special teams.
Well, Darrell Sampson being a defensive back, but being a big guy, he's strong, and he puts the Tilney on the outside, and they go directly to the football and make the return by come inside, and then they got all those linebackers coming down there with their speed to knock them down. Winnipeg's always had good special teams, and it starts with because they get a good snap and a good kick all the time.
Bob Cameron's 3rd down kick. Williams waits for it at the 16-yard line. He's breaking that initial contact on each of those returns, but there's a swarm of blue and gold jerseys waiting for him.
Right here's that what we were just talking about happened again. You see Sampson and Zatilny upfield. They force him inside where all the blue jerseys are, so they get an 11-yard run back, but he's working for it. I mean, he's earning every yard of it.
A 43-yard kick that time by Bob Cameron with 2:14 remaining in the opening quarter. Williams, of course, established 4 CFL punt return records back in 1986. Tracy Ham is pulled down. He tried to dump it off. Stan Nicholas was on top of him. And Hammond throwing that ball, threw it right into the arms of a Winnipeg defender. But it was Stan Nicholas who gets the quarterback sack.
He had the time to throw the football that time. His offensive line gave him the time, but eventually your defensive backs do such a good job, you can't get rid of it. Watch James West come on the blitz right up the middle, but look at the job. He's got time to throw it. Now he has to scramble. He tried to throw it when he was in the grass, and it cost him a sack rather than a turnover.
2nd and 17, Edmonton. Here comes that pressure again this time. Ham is able to unload, but it's out of the reach of Reggie Taylor. Even if he had caught that ball, he would have been out of bounds.
He wanted to throw the ball downfield, but the coverage downfield by Rod Hill on the wide receiver Keith Wright was excellent, so he has to come off, and then rather than risk an interception, just throw it away. He wasn't going to make the first down anyway.
Well, this game is in direct contrast to what we witnessed a week ago in Ottawa, where they scored 96 points. Both teams have played well defensively in this opening quarter tonight. Winey is the lone man back. Again, Winnipeg almost got to that third down kick by McAreedy, a big kick, chasing Winey back to the 40-yard line. Winey dives up to the 52, and there's a penalty flag on the play.
Get that great pressure inside again, and we talk about Rod Hill. He cuts that corner down. He gets that shoulder turn and then flattens out. He almost blocked it.
A 14-yard run back after a 51-yard kick under pressure by McAreedy.
Illegal block. Winnipeg number 29. First down.
Dave Bavell was guilty of that illegal block. That takes it back to the 40-yard line.
So he gets that shoulder turn. Now he comes in front to the block point. It's about 5 yards in front of the kicker. He knows where it is. He almost got it again, and I won't be surprised. They better know where he is all the time.
Seems he knows where that block point is probably better than anyone we've seen rush the kicker in the CFL. Did Streeter make the catch? Yes, he did. Taking it off his shoe tops up at the 52-yard line.
Well, that was a nice catch. Watch the ball from Burgess. It'll be thrown low. Well, watch Streeter just reach down in and get it. He doesn't go down and cradle it. He just reaches down right there. Excellent reception.
He came to Winnipeg as a free agent from the BC Lions. One touchdown reception so far this year. Robert Mims gets a tough yard and a half. He had Brett Williams all over him, along with Michel Bourgeot. Enos Jackson involved in a bit of a skirmish downfield. I can't see yet who the Winnipeg player is. Perry Tuttle. Perry, that's no way to celebrate your birthday.
Now, when you run the counter, which is what they like to run, you have to release his Tuttle downfield. Now, you got to block the guy that's covering you. The guy that's covering you happens to be Jackson. Didn't like the way it was being treated. I'll tell you one thing, he stayed after him. Jackson finally threw him down, but he kept in front of him. That's all his job is. Don't let him make the tackle.
A gain of a yard at 2nd and 9, Winnipeg. The ball at the 54. Burgess for Murphy. He makes the catch. There's a penalty flag on the play. Murphy has the first down, catching that pass in front of Andre Francis.
Well, we talk about it all the time. Make your cut, come back to the quarterback, and that forces the defensive back to do just what he did there, hit you in the back or try to hold you. But Murphy, excellent job of receiving, and it's the only way that they can stop it. Francis has no chance. Watch the curl. Hook, curl, turn in, call it what you want. Plant, now come back to the ball. Get that separation. He's going to catch it, so he tried to get those hands and get in front. You can't stop it. You have to interfere with him in the back.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 14. First down.
The Eskimos have David Shelton dressed for this game, so it is conceivable that they could go with 5 imports in their secondary. Shelton moving into that safety position, replacing Mark Norman with Francis and Gooch in the corner, Jackson and Clark at the inside halfback positions. 1st and 10, Winnipeg from the 45. Burgess for Streeter, incomplete. A similar pattern to the one he caught earlier. At that time, as he went down off his shoe tops, he couldn't pull it in. And that is also the final play of the opening quarter, with the Eskimos leading by 3. 3-0. The Eskimos lead the Blue Bombers after 15 minutes of play to start the second quarter. It's 2nd and 10, Winnipeg from the Edmonton 45-yard line. Burgess with that 7-step drop deep for the sidelines, and Perry Tuttle has it.
Well, they had great pressure on Tom Burgess, Stuart Hill, and Mike Walker in there. He threw a duck. He did not throw a nice pass, but Perry Tuttle adjusted to it.
31 years of age today, Perry Tuttle is. Winnipeg, in terms of total yardage in that opening quarter, just 3 yards. The Eskimos with 91 yards. This is more like the defensive football we're accustomed to seeing from these two teams.
Well, you know you win championships with defense, and that's where they've got to build them.
Robert Mims stopped at the 15-yard line. I don't think the Bombers, from what we've seen through the first quarter and the first running play of the second quarter, are going to have any success against Edmonton along the ground.
Well, when you run the football, those defensive linemen know Danny Bass misses very few tackles, so they can take the chances, crash, shut it down, and they know if he gets through, Bass will be there, so they're getting great pressure.
Second and 10, Winnipeg from the 15-yard line. The Bombers trail 3-0, 13:37 remaining in the second quarter. Burgess for Warren Hudson. He could not hang on. And I'm sure that comes as relief to Larry Ruck.
This is what we were talking about in the opening. You know, defensive coaches are saying quarterback's reading. The quarterback, in this case, Tom Burgess, saw that blitz coming. So instead of Hudson staying in the block, he releases. Larry Ruck did not see him go. If Hudson catches the football, he's going to score a touchdown. But this is what Don Southern was talking about. The quarterbacks are reading so quick that they're getting rid of the ball. And had Hudson caught it, would have made a believer out of Southern again.
A native of Edmonton, Trevor Kennard, will attempt to tie the game at 3. It's blocked. And the ball will go out of bounds back at the 7-yard line. Andre Francis was the man who got through to block that field goal try by Trevor Kennard.
Boy, he came off that corner. What's coming from the right side? Boy, he really comes. Now, cut it down. See how he flattened out? He didn't go to the holder. He went in front of the holder, tried to get the ball as it's rising. You run at the holder, you'll miss it every time. That's an excellent job.
That's an interesting observation. Most people assume that you block a punt or a field goal attempt at the point of the ball being kicked. It's a block point about 5 yards away.
You'll be a little bit closer for an extra point because it's field goal because of the ball rising, but you'll never get it going to the holder. You got to get out in front of it 4 or 5 yards.
Blake Marshall drives out across the 10-yard line, picking up 4, maybe 5 yards, depending on where they spot it. Marshall and Reggie Taylor getting the bulk of the work in the Eskimo ground game so far tonight. They credit Blake Marshall with a 3-yard advance. It's 2nd and 7. Pressure coming up the middle, but Ham throws to the sidelines and overthrows Henry Williams.
Well, what a good job of blocking by the left guard, Pierre Vercheval. Again, the Winnipeg middle of that defense, they stunt. They move those linebackers around. His man went around, and he just came out of the line, went over and picked them up. Great job of blocking.
Joe Farragelli was in a very good mood yesterday. He is one of the more humorous coaches in the CFL, and he was very relaxed and comfortable at his media conference yesterday, despite that 50-46 loss last week. Bad snap. McReady chases it through the end zone. 2 points, Winnipeg. So the Blue Bombers have their field goal try blocked, but they come up with a safety touch. And now the Eskimos, who yielded a safety touch last week against Ottawa, will kick off.
There's the snap. You see it's way right. McReady does not have a chance. Vercheval, throw that ball back. It's to the right of McReady. All he can do is chase it down. That kicker expects that ball to hit him right around the waist, if preferably on the right side, but that time he had to chase it. He didn't get it.
2 University of Western Ontario grads, Pierre Vercheval, who moves from his guard position to center for 3rd down snaps, and the kicker, Ray McReady. And they did not click on that one, and now the Eskimos are forced to kick off from the 35-yard line after surrendering the safety touch. Satilny takes it at the 25-yard line. Fumbles the football. Still has it.
Went down to meet him before the game to say hello to him because we know Wally so well in Hamilton. He said he's going to have a better game tonight than Wally did Saturday night. Right here we saw him take off and he slipped. He makes a good catch. Now he tries to come up behind, but watch him. He's going to lose his balance. He's going to slip and fall. There he goes, but he gets right back up and brings that ball out again past the 50-yard line.
I thought when he went down, he lost the football as well, but obviously not. And nobody touched him when he went down, so he's credited with a 27-yard return. First and 10 from the 51-yard line. The hitch screen to Eric Streeter. He has a first down. He had Bob Motley up in front blocking for him, along with Warren Hudson.
I'll tell you what's nice about this play is Tom Burgess just doesn't take it from the center and throw it. He sprints out a couple steps, then throws it. That gives Hudson and Motley a chance to get out there and Streeter a chance to get in behind him. That's very well executed.
Winnipeg first and 10 from the 48 of the Edmonton Eskimos. Streeter again. Couldn't hang on to the throw. Second and 10 Winnipeg.
That's a hard pass to catch. Burgess threw it on time and everything, but you throw that ball high, and if that receiver turns and it's high, it's tough to adjust to it. Watch. He's going to come. The ball's gone. Right now, it's in the air. He throws the hands up, but he can't adjust that quick. You try to throw that ball down in the chest area where he can just catch it and take the hit.
11:02 remaining in the second quarter. 3-2, the Eskimos lead. Burgess dumping it off to Hudson. He took a hit from Clark the moment he received that pass. And that's the book on Clark, that he is a punishing tackler.
Yeah, when they go to the 5 imports in the secondary, they move him to the safety because of his hitting ability. Here comes that pressure again. Edmonton's after him. And you know what? Eskimos are a little bit lucky. Ruck gets the pressure, but really Clark was chasing Winey across the field. If Hudson catches that ball and he's out, there's no one there. So somebody blew the coverage again.
Burgess is being forced to contend with a little different blitz package tonight from the Eskimos. They're sending their linebackers more than they have in the past.
And they're sending all 3 of them. That's the key. They're getting to him.
Cameron attempted to angle it to the corner, and Williams returns it to the 16-yard line. A 35-yard kick that time and an 11-yard run down. 3-2 is the score. The Eskimos with a field goal on their first possession of the ball game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a safety touch in this second quarter. The ball is spotted at the 18, first and 10 for the Eskimos. They expected 25, maybe 26,000 at tonight's ball game. It's an absolutely beautiful summer evening here in Winnipeg. The temperature at the start of the game of 30 degrees. On the sidelines, the catch is made, but out of bounds is Craig Ellis.
Why do you go to Ellis? Because he's got a linebacker, Greg Battle, covering him. And the slot back's going to beat the linebacker if you give the quarterback time.
Joe Farragelli, the head coach. Gary Durchik, the assistant coach. Farragelli does not wear a headset, unlike his counterpart, Mike Riley of the Blue Bombers, who stays in contact with the spotters upstairs. Here comes that blitz by Bavell, the safety, and he got to Tracy Ham.
Wow, we want to look at this guy. This is the guy that Mike Riley says makes the difference in their defense. He's very, very physical. A 6 foot, 210-pounder coming on a safety blitz, and he times it just perfectly. Comes through unblocked. Tracy Ham has no chance. That's all you can do. Get down and let him hit you. Another kid, a rookie from Colgate, from Hamilton. A lot of Hamilton kids come in the league this year, and at 210 pounds, what Mike Riley likes, he's physical. He said he will make tackles for us, and he showed you right there he can blitz.
He said he'll make some mistakes because of inexperience, but he is going to be an impact player, he feels, in the CFL. Third down kick, here comes Hill, and he got a piece of it. Actually, I think he went over top of the ball, but he did get just enough of that ball that he went right over top of it.
Hey, that's a heck of a shot to a kicker. He wants to kick the ball. Rod Hill would have took it off his foot.
So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will take over at the 18-yard line.
3-2, but it's not a no-hitter.
Rod Hill, one of the most engaging personalities in the Canadian Football League. And he partially got kicked by Ray McAreedy.
Watch the job. It looks like he goes right over it. The ball's going to go behind him. See? It went behind him. I mean, Matt Garidi had to be, he probably can't believe to look up and see number 10 going to take it right off his foot.
Nice. Done 2 weeks in Hamilton. Don't forget the care package.
So Winnipeg takes over, 1st and 10. The ball is at the 18-yard line. Robert Mims has a swarm of Eskimos all over him. Larry Ruck will be credited with the tackle.
But 3-2 looks like a baseball score, doesn't it? But there's a lot of defense in this game. What we're going to look at here is watch Michel Bourgeot coming his way. Fights outside. Danny Bass takes the first shot, causes him to jump. Bourgeot's there to trip him. What we're talking about Bourgeot, that's how they're going to get the 5 imports in the secondary. With Jeff Braswell out of there, they move Leroy Blue and Bourgeot in, and they're going to be able to do it.
A loss of 3 at 2nd and 13. Burgess for James Murphy. Murphy breaks the first contact and then is hauled down at the 14-yard line by Leroy Blue.
That's more what you expect from James Murphy. When I was looking at the statistics on him for the first 3 games, it's hard to believe he's only averaging 7 yards a catch because he's an excellent runner after he catches the ball. You see him fight off the tackle, gets it downfield. He doesn't make the first down, but that's what you expect from James Murphy.
So Trevor Kennard, who had his first field goal attempt blocked, lines up to try another, this time from 21 yards out. This time they pick up Andre Francis coming from the corner. Kennard puts it through, but there is a penalty flag. 8:18 is the time remaining in the half. An offside call against the Eskimos. Winnipeg was looking at 3rd and 6 on that successful field goal. Now they're a yard shy of a first down.
They would end up 3rd down, less than a yard,
Offside.
or about a yard.
Edmonton number 14. 3rd down repeated.
Well, Andre Francis was the man who blocked that first field goal attempt. He was anticipating the snap, trying to get the early jump on that one, and he was offside. But Winnipeg relinquishes the 3 points. They take the 5-yard penalty. It's now 3rd and 1. And they have not been able to run the ball so far this time. Burgess should have the first down, but there is another penalty flag. It appears as though it again will go against Edmonton.
I'm not sure anybody jumped. I just think they may have all crowded into that 1-yard neutral zone too far.
Offside. Edmonton number 16. First down.
Kevin Clark is the man fingered for the offside call, so Winnipeg now has a 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. 7:57 remaining in the half. James Murphy goes wide right. Streeter comes out to the left. Handoff on the trap play with Warren Hudson, and he'll only get a couple of yards.
Boy, Stuart Hill was waiting on him. Stuart Hill's lined up to the wide side of the field, and he came right across him down the line of scrimmage. And when they handed off to Hudson, he was just standing there waiting on him to come to him.
Winnipeg now sends out the short yardage unit. Tyrone Jones, Greg Battle, and Matt Pierce go out. James Murphy, Perry Tuttle, and Eric Streeter come to the bench. Winnipeg extremely pleased to add Warren Hudson to the lineup. They feel he really adds to their blocking strength.
225 pounds, and he's catching passes for him, too.
Robert Mims, the ball carrier, he won't get to the end zone. He's stopped after a loss of 1. He was thrown back. So the field goal unit comes out again. Both teams have been very aggressive defensively.
Well, you see Warren Hudson leading it, but he can't follow him in there because we saw everybody waiting on him, so he tried to bounce outside. You have just has that 6th sense. He'll get to the football.
The defensive player of the year last season in the Canadian Football League. Dan Bass has had a strong performance so far tonight. Trevor Kennard attempting a 10-yard field goal. It is good. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take the lead with 6:50 remaining in the first half. They're in front by a score of 5-3.
Live at the Half tonight, we'll keep you up to date. I should say on Live at the Half tonight, we'll keep you up to date on some CFL stars who are not playing in Week 4, and we had a chance to chat with Tracy Ham away from the ballpark. You'll see that conversation on Live at the Half. And Don, keep your eyes on Bomber slot back Terry Tuttle. They say you have to play in pain. He certainly is tonight, the result of a tough shot he took to the tailbone in BC last week. He says it's okay when he runs straight ahead, but the pain is intense when he takes a hit or he cuts. You know, he's only 175 pounds soaking wet, maintains he's far too small for that inside receiving position. Could be early in the schedule. The big hits are catching up to him, and all this on his birthday as well.
Some of his teammates were kidding him yesterday, saying, Perry, you shouldn't have to play in your birthday. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Reggie Taylor moving as well, and he has a first down. There was no penalty flag, as the player from the Blue Bombers who moved apparently got back without making any contact before the ball was snapped.
Good job of running by Taylor. Well, they open the hole for him. He starts to his right. Play's going away from you. So Jones has to find the ball, come down the line. Now when he turns back to the inside, you're ready to make the tackle. Find the ball and tackle him.
Henry Williams making the catch in front of Les Brown. That will be close to another first down for the Eskimos.
The argument was that the defensive secondary felt that Williams dropped the football, but the guy that matters, the referee looking right at it, said he caught it.
5:49 remaining in the half. 5-3, Winnipeg leading Edmonton. By far the best defensive game we've witnessed so far this season. Rod Hill was defending against Keith Wright. He had excellent coverage on Wright. It will be 2nd and 10.
Very, very wise throw at Tracy Ham. You either throw it up in the stands or throw it in the ground, but if he throws it on the money, Rod Hill has it. And what Mike Riley's telling us is that when you look at defensive backs, he says that they can plant and then drive to the football, and they get that excellent timing. And we know Hill has it because of the way he blocked punts, but he gets that excellent timing. He picks that off, he's gone. So very wise to throw it low.
Mike Riley in his 4th year as head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the former CFL Coach of the Year. Here goes Ham in the grasp of Tyrone Jones.
Yesterday, Mike Riley talked so much about the play of their linebackers, and especially the way Tyrone Jones came back and the intensity he's playing with. We figure he has to be a defensive key for them. Here's why. He rushes the passer. You see James West coming up the middle, and then it's just Jones against Michael Souls. He defeats Souls and makes the sack. Excellent job. You get that shoulder, get lower than the blocker, knock him down, run over him, grab the quarterback.
Mike Riley was saying he felt the Blue Bombers might be a little small defensively this year, but he said they have more than made up for any lack of size with a tremendous work ethic. They'll fight you right to the end. Ken Winey on the return. Forced out of bounds by Shelton. 4:50 is the time remaining. A 13-yard run back after a 45-yard kick. We'll hear from Tracy Ham at halftime.
Very interesting, very nice person to talk with. He's starting to understand the game a little bit better. He said Winnipeg does give him problems because of the way their linebackers play. And that's been the key to the Winnipeg defense, is how you handle their linebackers. Because if you don't handle them, they'll handle you.
Winnipeg didn't give them any trouble last year, however. 45-7, 34-11 the scores in favor of the Eskimos. Burgess matches sweater number with the number of attempts, and he completes it to Streeter. A first down. I think they'll rule. No, I don't think so. I thought his forward progress is beyond the 45-yard line, but the official is spotting it just shy of the 43.
Streeter's going to have to take that pass a little bit deeper. The receiver, when a quarterback has play action, he fakes to a back and then rolls out. He has time to be ready to throw, so Streeter got to go a little bit deeper, then come back.
Joe Farragelli was telling us that He thought Winnipeg might try to run against his team tonight, but he didn't think they'd have any success, and indeed they have not.
He said everybody ran on. They're giving up like 7 yards a shot. He said, why not?
Tom Burgess keeps, and that was a tough yard if he got it.
Well, that was a tough yard. They just stacked that middle. There was nowhere to run. This is one of the few times when you're in short yardage where low man wins. You know, that defense gets down low, tries to come under the offense, and then lift up. And if you get under them, you win.
They're going to have to measure this one. Winnipeg, along the ground, -2 yards.
That's not a real good rushing average, is it?
Well, you knew that the Edmonton Eskimos, the best defensive team in the league last year, weren't going to continue giving up 36 points per game. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year have the best defensive record in the CFL. So one could anticipate that this might be a pretty good defensive battle.
So Winnipeg only 3.6 yards on the run. That's an excellent job. 7.7 is way out of line. We know about the Eskimos, as you said. You're not going to run on them that much.
Last year, the Eskimos led in 22 of 25 CFL defensive categories. This year, they're dead last in 3 categories and second worst in another 3.
Well, the thing with the Saskatchewan club's the one that surprises you. I mean, you know, what do they lead in? 6 categories in defense, but they've given up the most points. Everything's gone nuts this year.
That is one of the really unusual statistics in the CFL this year. The Rough Riders lead in almost every defensive category, at least in the 6 most important, and they've given up the most points.
Tells you turnovers are hurting you. That's what that tells you.
1st and 10. 3:11 remaining. Deep for Streeter. Incomplete. Good coverage by Keith Gooch. He was running stride for stride with Eric Streeter.
Excellent coverage by Gooch. Put all those receivers to the wide side of the field, you get one-on-one coverage. It's just Streeter against Gooch, and Gooch wins. Look at him. Look at Gooch. Stay right on his inside, in his inside. Here comes the ball. Turn and play it. Excellent job of coverage.
Fresno State product. Previous CFL experience with Hamilton and BC, signing with the Eskimos as a free agent on April the 23rd. 2nd and 10, Winnipeg from the 43. Better protection for Burgess. Tuttle has the ball. One thing Perry Tuttle does from that slot back position is give Winnipeg tremendous speed among their receiving contingent. 2:49 remains in the half. Well, Perry Tuttle would prefer to play wide receiver, but Winnipeg is using him at that slot back position. And when Winey is running from the other slot and they've got Murphy and Streeter on the outside, they frighten secondaries with their speed.
They got 4 burners. Those guys can get down the field. They're all under 4.5 in speed for 40 yards. So when they come off running, that secondary has to get back. And then if it's a zone defense, Tuttle just cut right across the middle between Blue and Ruck and made the catch. He went up high. The other thing he gives him, he's got good jumping ability. And he went up and got that one.
Graduate of Clemson. Drafted by Buffalo. Winnipeg has moved 26 yards in 4 plays. 2:40 is the time remaining in the half. Winnipeg 1st and 10 from the Edmonton 51-yard line. Hitch screen to James Murphy. Excellent maneuver by Kevin Clark to stop Murphy from going beyond the 45-yard line.
That was a good move by Clark, because the reason he was able to do it, Nick Benjamin tripped a little bit coming out, but if Benjamin gets out there, his man is Clark. And then they would have had all 3 blocked and opened the lane for him, but Clark beats him, makes the tackle.
2nd and 4, Winnipeg. Burgess for Streeter, 1st down at the 30. Well, when you're -2 yards rushing, if you're going to move the ball, you have to throw it.
Got to throw it. They cross underneath with Streeter in the back. Now look at Perry Tuttle wide open. Also Streeter wide open. Burgess could take his pick. He found Streeter.
1st and 10, Winnipeg from the 30 of the Eskimos. 2:09 the time remaining in the half. Winnipeg in front 5-3. A field goal by Trevor Kennard and a safety touch accounting for the Winnipeg scoring. Macaridi's field goal on the first Eskimo possession. giving the Eskimos their 3 points. First, Winey wide open. Touchdown. Well, we talked about the speed. They had the 4 burners in there on that play.
Plus, what Tom Burgess does best, read a blitz and get rid of the ball. Watch the pressure coming up the middle, but watch how fast that ball is gone. He gets inside. Here he goes. Winey gets inside of Enos Jackson. Easy touchdown. Burgess is so quick at getting rid of that ball, and when you got the speed, as you talk about, Don, with Winey, you just lay it out there and let him go get it.
Point after by Trevor Kennard. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have the first touchdown of the ball game.
He was looking hot. But he had a hot like Charles. 64, right? Hey,
Ken Winey, an outstanding track and field athlete during his college days. As a matter of fact, a 7'3" high jumper. No football experience.
That's amazing. The guy's 5'11", jumps 7'3". All right, look at all the white jerseys. Here they come. And when he went across in motion, Enos Jackson had to chase him. Just throw it out in front. Rely on Winey to do the rest. A good job by Winey out running the defender.
And Tom Burgess celebrates the throw to Ken Winey. Bombers signed Winey at a free agent camp. They were impressed with his athletic ability. Darrell Colbert on the kickoff return up to the 50-yard line. People were asking Joe Farragelli why, when he had such an outstanding kick returner last year as Tony Hunter, he would let him go. His explanation was Colbert provides the additional kickoff return ability to complement Henry Williams, and he also is an outstanding receiver.
That's the difference. He's an outstanding receiver. I think they even put him on the defense down in the Toronto game, so he's an all-around athlete but an excellent receiver. He said, I can't afford to lose a guy that can help us in another area.
Tracy Ham is intercepted. There's a penalty flag. Les Brown with what could be his 5th interception of the year, but it might be called back. This will likely be an interference call against Brown.
Yeah, the thing we got to look for on a replay, if we get it, is did the receiver slip or did Brown knock him down? Because the receiver was on his face and Brown ran right in and made the interception. But we're going to have to take a chance and see what happens.
Forward pass interference. Winnipeg number 15. First down.
All right, let's see if we can see it. We're going to look at it from the quarterback's perspective. Coming back to the football. Now let's see what happens. Didn't really get a look at it, but only I was wondering if he slipped was it's that wet spot right there, whether he slipped. I don't know, but Les Brown didn't argue too much, so I think it was a pretty good call.
Tracy Ham tried to dump it off to Reggie Taylor. It will be 2nd and 10. Again, Ham was under pressure.
And you notice right away, the last time on the hook pattern, they ran a curl to Williams. They called Les Brown for interference, so they run a hook and go. Williams came down, he stopped, tried to get Les Brown to come up and go by him. Les did not bite on it, that's why Ham had to scramble.
2nd and 10 from the 48, 1:27 remaining in the half. Ken Winey has scored the game's only touchdown. And almost used up the 20-second clock in getting that play underway. And he's going to be stopped short of the first down, brought down at the 42-yard line by James West and Mike Gray.
The Winnipeg defense fooled Tracy Ham. They fooled him a little bit. They had everybody up. He audible the play to try to dump the ball, and they dropped the linebacker, and now he has to stand back there and throw it, and then the pressure got him. Good job by that Winnipeg defense.
James West, the leader of that Winnipeg defense, trying to do a little cheerleading among the spectators, getting them more involved in the ball game. Steve Taylor will hold for this 49-yard field goal try by Ray McElready. It's going to be short. Winey takes it at the 6-yard line. Winey gets a couple of blocks and then is knocked out of bounds. Danny Bass was there to prevent him from getting beyond the 32.
What I was watching is, you know, Rod Hill has such success. He came on that outside. There's a flag over there, and what it is, they just grabbed Rod Hill and tackled him. But I think they'll refuse it because that's a great return by Winey. Reading the article on him in the paper yesterday, he's talking about being more consistent on his returns,
Holding.
you know.
Edmonton number 22. Decline. First down.
And Blake Marshall just tackled him. But Winey says what he's learning now is to catch the ball and be consistent, get 10 yards. He said the big plays will come. Here comes Rod Hill. Watch him. Watch what happens. See, Marshall has to try to block the inside gap where West is and get a hold of Rod Hill. Well, he sure did. He just grabbed him by the arm and pulled him.
First and 10, Winnipeg. The draw play with Warren Hudson. He'll be very close to a first down.
That's strength right there. You saw a good example. 6'2", 225 pounds. If you get him into the secondary, he's tough to bring down.
29 minutes and 9 seconds for Winnipeg to get into the plus side of the ledger in the rushing department.
It has been tough on him. You know, this is more like the football you expect Edmonton and Winnipeg. I can remember some of those games back like in November when they would end 4-1 and 3-2. And they've had a great rivalry over the years and no reason to stop now.
Well, of course, they always talk about the need for tough defensive football late in the season, particularly on the prairies.
And that's what wins for you. You know, when the weather turns bad, the defenses rise.
Well, it's been a while since these two teams have played a low-scoring game. You have to go back to 1954 for the lowest ever between the two, 7-3, Winnipeg.
Over talking to the timekeeper. Somebody questioned the time that elapsed on that play. Thought the clock wasn't running. There's 51 seconds left. Second down. What they'd like to do is get the ball back. But second less than a yard. Winnipeg should be able to make this one. 2 shots at it.
Burgess will keep. He'll get the first down. 39 seconds remaining in the half. Winnipeg leading by a score of 12-3.
Going to need about 30 yards to get close to field goal range. Going to be kicking into whatever wind there is. It's going to be kicking into it. But we know with the receivers they got, they can do it.
Burgess for Hudson. All over him immediately is Keith Gooch. He only gets 2 yards.
Well, that's what you're going to do if you're Edmonton. They dropped into the zone, so we're not going to give any big plays. We're going to let you throw it to the backs because you're going to run out of time.
30 seconds left. Burgess attempting to get the Blue Bombers at least into field goal range. He won't get a chance to throw. Michel Bourgeot is there to bring him down.
Good inside pressure. Brett Williams forces Burgess up. Michel Bourgeot, he's there to bring him down. They're getting good pressure from 4 guys, and then they're mixing up the safety men coming, mixing up the halfbacks. You see Coach Faragelli with 24 seconds. If he can get a bad kick, he may get a field goal.
Now, what do you suppose his call might be? To go after the block or to set up the return with the Giz?
Depends on who he listens to. He said last week he wanted to set up the block. Go get it. But he says, the Giz promised him, he says, I'll get you field position. And he did, but then he dropped the ball. But he got him great field position.
You're talking about late in the game, Edmonton at Ottawa, with Edmonton leading 44-43. And the Giz had an excellent return. It looked as though that run back was going to put the game away for the Eskimos, but he fumbled the ball in Ottawa territory, and the Rough Riders came back to score the winning touchdown.
Well, we're going to see what they're going to do right now.
They're going after it up the middle. And Cameron will kick it out of bounds at the 35-yard line. 18 seconds remain.
I think you got time. You have time for about 3 plays. If you can hit a couple, that's only 35 yards, but there's no return. Nothing wrong with that. They need about 30, 35 yards in 18 seconds to get a shot at a field goal.
Well, there is an Edmonton Eskimo fan in the stands at Winnipeg Stadium tonight. We had an interesting chat prior to the game with a lady from Dryden, Ontario. For the last 5 years, she has been a season ticket holder, an elderly lady, and she makes the trip every home game the Blue Bombers play.
4-hour drive. She's been doing it for about 6 years. I'll tell you what, she was right on top of you. She knew those pickerel were good out there, didn't she?
Blake Marshall with a good hole, and then Marshall is tripped up by James West after he gains 13 yards.
I think he surprised the Blue Bombers. I figured they thought they'd be throwing. Tracy Ham either has to get up. You know, they got Blake Marshall injured going off the field. He's limping a little bit.
Marshall going down will buy some time.
James West cut the legs out of him as he was trying to turn back into the middle. He's hurting a little bit. Get a good look. Look at him get into the secondary. Now he tries to turn into the open field. There comes number 58 right there. Cut it out from under him.
Chris Johnstone is in, and Reggie Taylor has the ball. And he got into Winnipeg's 52-yard line with 2 seconds remaining before he was knocked down.
I think we have another injury on the field this time.
Rod Conniff very slow in getting up. Stan Mikowicz, who plays opposite him, was also slow in getting to his feet, but Conniff is still down. Blake Marshall has removed his shoulder harness, and they were looking at his left knee. He is a well-built running back.
Boy, he's a good football player. Nice write-up on him today. I was reading about him. You know, he has no illusions about being a 1,000-yard rusher like Reggie Taylor. He says, my job is to get the tough yards, make the blocks for Reggie Taylor, and he said, when they need me to lead it, I'll do the job. And he's got everything in perspective, and that's about all you can ask.
Out of the University of Western Ontario, 6'1", 230 pounds.
Conniff's down out there, too. That's what's holding up the play, and they're checking his leg or knee a little bit. See, he's got the brace on. You can see the knee brace on Rod Conniff.
He was a #1 draft choice in 1982 out of Wilfrid Laurier, the CFL Lineman of the Year offensively last year. It's amazing the number of draft choices that the Edmonton Eskimos have retained over the years. They have developed them, and they are now proven stars with the team.
That's why they're successful. They know what they're doing. They don't make many mistakes. Frankie Morris, over the years, probably does the best job of everybody. Here we go again. You better get down.
And Tracy Ham does go down, unlike last week in Ottawa where he took a hit on the final play of the half. He goes down avoiding the tackle, and that is the end of the first half. Winnipeg leads by 9.
After 3 weeks of offense, defense takes over, at least in the first half of this game, and the Bombers lead the Eskimos 12-3. Welcome to Live at the Half. It is the nature of this game that players suffer injuries. We want to update you now on the status of key players in several CFL cities who may be unable to play in Week 4. Here are the stories that are current. As we go coast to coast now, let's stop first in Vancouver, where the Lions go into tonight's game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders without starting quarterback Doug Flutie. He suffered a bruised upper rib cartilage in victory over Winnipeg last Friday. The Lions were hopeful he could play tonight, but they had to rule out their marquee player yesterday. Flutie needs more time to heal than originally thought. In Edmonton, a veteran slot back is scheduled for surgery for a slip disc this month. It means the season for Tom Richards, and in the offseason, he'll make some hard decisions on his football future. Another brilliant slot back is not with his team tonight. As the Riders get ready for the Lions at BC Place, Jeff Fairholm is in Regina with a hamstring pull. There have been trade rumors about the receiver. The Riders deny Fairholm is on the block. In Toronto, bad news for the Argos. Quarterback Matt Dunnigan may not play in Saturday's game against Ottawa. Dunnigan led the Argos to their first win last week, but at some point in Hamilton, he sprained his knee and has worn a full-length brace in practice this week. The Argos declare their final roster tomorrow. Dunnigan is currently doubtful. And in Ottawa, the Riders' first win of the season did not come without a price. Slot back Gerald Wilcox broke his collarbone against Edmonton and underwent surgery this week, as did defensive back Daniel Hunter, who broke his wrist. Well, Ottawa's chances of winning at the Skydome on Saturday may increase, the result of an Argo injury, which is to say if Matt Dunnigan cannot play. Stay with us. Live at the Half returns to Winnipeg Stadium. Al Bruno is the CFL's most senior coach, and he has the league's most explosive receiver in Earl Winfield on his team. Bruno, Winfield, and the rest of the Hamilton Ticats are in Ottawa to face the Rough Riders, led by electrifying running back Reggie Barnes, who is making the life of head coach Steve Goldman a lot easier. Hamilton at Ottawa, Thursday, August 9th, on the CFL on CBC. Take away the first half of this game, and the news on Eskimo quarterback Tracy Ham has been good this season. He's been playing with poise and confidence that belie his tender age of 26. The Eskimo tradition of excellence at quarterback once included Matt Dunnigan. In his first year in the CFL out of Georgia Southern, Tracy Ham watched Dunnigan and Damon Allen lead the Eskimos to a Grey Cup victory. After a year of backing up Allen, Ham got his chance to start and looked from the outset like he'd been doing the job for years. He takes advantage of everything the CFL has to offer, including the chance to throw bombs. Last year, he set the CFL record for rushing yards by a quarterback and was rewarded with the league's Outstanding Player Award. They used to say when Tracy Ham gets some experience, look out, but they've been looking out ever since he began playing. And prior to tonight's game, we spent a few moments with this CFL star. Tracy, this is your chance on big-time network TV to tell us honestly, did you have 5 years in another pro league under an assumed name before you came to the CFL?
No, Scott, I was fresh out of college, right out of Statesboro, Georgia, from Georgia Southern College, and from there straight to Edmonton. And I've been in Edmonton going on my 4th year now.
And it's really just your second year as full-fledged starting quarterback for the Eskimos. How do you explain how quickly you've caught on to the Canadian game?
Well, I think it's just a case of the system I was in college, the system that I was in. When most people think of it, they think of the option-type quarterback, which I did a lot of, but we also threw the ball downfield quite a bit. And also the people who were in Edmonton before me were guys that knew the game. Matt and Damon really knew the game, and they really helped me out a lot.
Well, the options at quarterback are simple. As you know, you either run it or you throw it. And I've heard it said that Tracy Ham could be the best running back in the CFL.
Well, I don't think I want that title, being the best running back in the league, because we have some good running backs in the league. We have some good young guys. Actually, I have one of the better backs in the league in Reggie Taylor. So I think there's more guys in the league that can fill that out better than Tracy.
Well, it generally takes more than one tackler to bring you down.
Well, throughout college, it was a rule of thumb, running the option at times, that you didn't let one guy bring you down. But I think as my career progresses, you'll see me go down instead of waiting for 2 and 3 tackles to take me down.
Your success in the CFL in a short period of time has been extraordinary. What's your long-term future in the CFL? You committed to this league for good?
Well, I'm comfortable in Edmonton at this point. I'm under contract for 3 more years, and I will honor my contract. I won't go against that. And I really like Edmonton. Me and my wife have made a home in Edmonton, and so we stay there year-round.
There's a tradition of great quarterbacks with the Edmonton Eskimos. You feel some pressure to keep it up?
Well, I just, when you go to Edmonton, you just feel the pressure of winning. They have such a rich tradition of winning ball games and winning championships there that when you get there, you feel that atmosphere to win ball games and win the big ball games. And so it's definitely a sense of pressure there, but I can just go out and play as hard as I can play and not worry about it.
Well, it's going well so far. Tracy Ham, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
We had hoped to have Tracy Ham as our guest on Live at the Half in Ottawa last week, but he was shaken up on the final play of the first half, again late in the second half, and Don, absorbing punishment may now be one of his strong suits because he's taken lots of it from the Bombers in the first half of this game.
Well, Tracy Ham, Scott, has taken some punishment. Stan Mikowicz with 2 sacks in the first half.
Stan Mikowicz has those 2 sacks. They've been, even though we forget, even though he's the outstanding players, he's still young.
Both the Winnipeg defensive unit and the Edmonton defensive unit have been applying pressure. I think Winnipeg has had a little more success so far, though.
Yeah, Winnipeg's got the good defense. They've always had it. We'll see what they do here. We know James West on a middle blitz, Tyrone Jones on the outside. Look at Tyrone Jones. Use the strength. I mean, Michael Souls is 215 pounds. He lowered his shoulder and just dropped it and then sacks Tracy Henn. That's good defense.
Stan Mikowicz has gotten to Cam twice, and Dave Bavell has also burst through on occasion. And then Tom Burgess on an Edmonton blitz picked it up and dumped the ball over the defender to Ken Winey for the only touchdown.
Ken Winey came in motion. They blitzed the linebackers and a halfback, and you don't blitz Tom Burgess, he'll burn you.
So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers enjoy a 9-point lead as we prepare for the second half. We'll be back right after this.
The CFL on CBC. An exclusive presentation of Miller Lite. Goes down great among friends. By Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL. And by Diet 7-Up. Challenge your taste.
Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium as the Edmonton Eskimos, Ray McElready kicks off to get the second half underway. Ken Winey takes the ball at the 25-yard line and is brought down as he drives up to the 40. That's where Tom Burgess will scrimmage 1st and 10. He completed 12 of 19 in the first half. He had to throw the ball because the Eskimos limited the Winnipeg ground game to just 11 yards.
And he didn't start out real well. You know, he threw a couple on the ground, got some pressure, overthrew, but he got hot in that second quarter, and that comes, you know, you got to get used to playing early in the game to see what the defense is doing. Now, if he got him figured out, he can continue.
Some wonder about Burgess wearing number 13, an unusual choice for a quarterback. Robert Mims, the ball carrier, gets the first down out across the 50 to the 51. You see the rushing yards for Winnipeg in that first half, but they more than made up for it with their aerial attack as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, after a slow start, finally got their offense rolling and racked up more net yards than the Eskimos, 143 to 127. Burgess said he isn't at all superstitious. He said, and the number 13 has some significance for him, and that is the day he was married.
Why be superstitious? The only time to worry about being superstitious is to be behind at the end of the game. The rest doesn't matter.
Blake Marshall is having the leg retaped, the ankle retaped, but he still has not put the shoulder harness back on.
That's the key. He's not going to play unless he has to, is what I would say from now on.
Well, they do have Chris Johnstone and Michael Souls to operate from that blocking back position. Robert Mims, the intended receiver, as Burgess was forced to dump that ball off quickly, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are forced to send out the punting unit.
Leroy Blue got the inside on it. If the rush comes from the outside, you can get rid of it. But when Blue gets to the inside on you and gets up in your face, very difficult to throw the football.
Blue has moved back to a linebacking position, replacing the injured Jeff Braswell. Bishop's Athlete of the Year 2 years running, 1988 and 1989. 6'2", 230 pounds. Tremendous hang time on that kick by Cameron. A penalty flag as the Gizmo is stopped at the 15-yard line. Steve Zatilny was upfield very, very quickly. The fans don't believe he encroached upon that 5-yard area, but that's not the way the officials saw it. A 50-yard kick by Bob Cameron.
Oh, I think he was inside it. Not very far, but you got white lines out there and they're 5 yards apart, and you can see it very clearly if you're looking.
Winnipeg number 35. First down.
Tyrone Jones is the player who was called by the officials for being in too close. That puts the ball at the 27-yard line. 1st and 10 Edmonton. Keith Wright comes out to the right. Colbert splits to the left. And the pitch goes to Reggie Taylor. Running hard for 6 yards.
Chris Johnstone's in there. He's going to be the lead blocker. We see Tyrone Jones. Good job. Get the outside shoulder turning to the inside. That's a good job by Johnstone. Just get position. All you worry about is position. You don't have to knock a guy down. Just screen him from making the tackle.
Second and 4, Edmonton. Ham throws to Craig Ellis, and Mike McLean grabs over at that Edmonton bench. And they'll spot it. It appears just shy of a first down over on the sidelines. Now let's see now. Any portion of that football will give the Eskimos a first down. They stretch the chain. And it is a first down.
You know, if you think back a year ago, Don, Winnipeg's strength was their defense. That's what got them to the Eastern Final and almost won it. Craig Ellis, we thought he'd be more of a factor. They're just taking him away from him. You see him turn upfield, just get the 1st and 10 marker. That's what Tracy has to do, put some first downs together.
1st and 10 from the 37. Craig Ellis, excellent move after making the catch to get away from Petway. And then David Lavelle runs him down.
So that was a real slow developing play. You got to give credit to the offensive line of the Eskimos. Watch how much time Tracy Ham to throw. Excellent catch, as you mentioned. Reach behind it, get the ball, and then an ex-running back. He knows how to run, 41 yards, and they're in good position.
Les Brown actually came in low on Craig Ellis, and it was Dave Bavell who came up over top to bring him down, but that contact, Brown on Ellis, has resulted in an injury to the Winnipeg defensive back.
Now anytime you get a corner hurt, revolves some shuffling. I believe Ken Petway will move out to the corner. Michael Allen will come in at probably safety, and then we'll see where Bovell goes. But Les Brown got underneath him, Bovell coming over the top, and Les took the worst of it.
Craig Ellis had 102 receptions for Saskatchewan back in 1985, and he is having another big year for the Eskimos. Scott?
Well, Don, here on the Eskimo bench, Blake Marshall's got his pads back on. He's had his left ankle retaped. He turned it late in the first half, and he says that it's a little bit painful, but he's reasonably certain he'll be able to finish the second half, providing he does not turn it again, and he's just told the fans he's okay.
He had a big weekend a week or so ago. He was in a golf tournament, and he won a prize for closest to the pin, got a television set. Then he went on a fishing contest, and he won the prize there for a total number of pounds per fish caught. He won another prize. They say he hit the ball he drove a green about 320, put it on the green. Now that's hitting the ball pretty good.
Les Brown, the injured Winnipeg defensive back, coming out. Michael Allen goes into the ball game as his replacement. Brown leads Winnipeg in interceptions with 4. 1st and 10. The Eskimos at the Winnipeg 32-yard line. Colbert, touchdown.
Was there any doubt? No doubt whatsoever. You put a new guy on the corner, you put all the strength away from him, put him over there all by himself, and go to work on the new kid, in this case Petway, touchdown. Everybody's over here. Look at the backside. It is 1-and-1 all over the field. An excellent move. You saw Petway turn his back. You're beaten badly when you do that. Good receiver. That's stealing, Don.
That's one of the reasons Colbert made the roster. Not only can he complement Henry Williams on that punt return and kickoff return unit, but he also is an outstanding receiver.
And he showed you right there, he knows how to get open.
The point after by Ray McAreedy from the hold of Steve Taylor, and with 11:19 remaining in the third quarter, we again have a 2-point ball game.
Hello, Josie, Mom.
Ron, Darrell Colbert was on the receiving end of the Tracy Ham throw, but Reggie Taylor helped make the play.
We're going to look at the touchdown. You see the block at the top. We're going to ISO that. But look at the one-on-one coverage. Petway has no help from anybody. It's just him and Colbert. But this is what happens. Taylor at 175 pounds, look at that. He's smart. Get underneath the Tyrone Jones. Don't let him run over you. Just drop down, take the legs out from under him. He knows he's not going to, I'm no fool. I'm not getting run over.
In just 4 plays, the Eskimos drove 83 yards for the touchdown, their first of the game by Darrell Colbert. Ken Winey takes the kickoff at the 16-yard line. And Winey returns the ball to the 45 before being forced out of bounds. A run back of 28 yards for Ken Winey. The coaching staff are quite pleased with the way he has developed. They feel he has shown steady improvement, and they anticipate that he will continue to do so.
Well, he feels he's behind. You know, you don't play any college football, and you come to a professional camp where everybody else has. You don't even understand the terminology, so it's going to take them a while, and they're very pleased. He's progressing the way they expect him to.
First and 10, Winnipeg. Here's Stuart Hill after Burgess. He got it away to Robert Mims. Mims battled, avoided a couple of would-be tacklers, got up to the 52-yard line, but then he had 3 players, Enos Jackson, Shelton, and Gooch, bring him down.
What you have to like here is Stuart Hill. Look at the pass rush. Get that up in his face. You have to loft it over the top. Now, he has no blockers. They're all gone, so it's just him against all of them. He makes 3 or 4 good moves, but they finally get hold of the leg right here. Now he makes a good move. Hit the deck, because watch what happens. Got 3 of them coming over top. No sense taking too many hits if you don't have to.
He beat out Tim Jesse for the running back position with Winnipeg this year. Wide open on the sidelines is Rick House. He'll get the first down. House taking some good-natured ribbing over on the sidelines from some of his former teammates.
Yeah, you always do. You know those guys pretty well. He played a lot of his career with them, and he's back home where he wants to be. He lives here, and they'll remind you.
The ball is at the 50-yard line of the Eskimos. 9:49 remaining in the third quarter. The pitch to Robert Mims. He gets a block from Nick Benjamin, but just as quickly the hole is closed by Danny Bass and Larry Ruck.
That's who should close it. You get that toss outside. Hudson leads it. Benjamin turns inside, and then all of a sudden, number 30, that middle linebacker, is going to show up to make the hit.
The leading rusher in the CFL last year has a distinct advantage so far in this game over his Winnipeg counterpart. Reggie Taylor with 55 yards, Mims with just 10. Second and 6, Burgess couldn't find that receiver on the sidelines, James Murphy. He was forced to try and run up the middle, and Brett Williams wasn't going to let him.
Well, the main thing we had outside, we had a little bit of a busted route outside. See him going at it. Benjamin and Bourgeau, ex-teammates in Ottawa. Good job by Benjamin, keeps him off. Burgess couldn't find a receiver. They had a broken pattern over there. Somebody went the wrong place. Rather than gamble, Burgess pulls it down, takes the sack.
Well, Brett Williams wrestles, as we have mentioned before, under the name of Hugh Mungus and Mr. Devastation. He said he was given an opportunity this past year to do some professional wrestling in Africa, but declined. However, he said after his football career is over, he may consider it.
I think he'll be around a while. He's still got a lot of future ahead of him.
Leroy Blue is the injured player, and the Eskimos have high hopes for this young man and their future. 9:03 is the time remaining. We have an injury timeout. Winnipeg leads by 2, but with 9:03 remaining in the third quarter, the Bombers will be forced to kick it away on third down. A beautiful summer evening in Manitoba. Temperature at game time, 30 degrees. Joe Ferrighelli, I'm sure, breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Leroy Blue get up and walk off to the Edmonton bench. They had been looking at his knee. Mike Riley felt this game would be a tough defensive struggle. However, he did think that he might be able to run against the Eskimos.
Well, when the Eskimos coming in have given up a lot of yardage on the ground, so you've got to test it. But when you look at the personnel they have, you know they're capable of shutting you down. And they've done a good job of it.
Year after year, this man has been the premier punter in the Canadian Football League, particularly in bad weather conditions. Henry Williams lost yardage on that one as Scott Reddle made contact with him back at the 6-yard line.
You know, we talk about Williams being an offensive key tonight because of his return ability, but that Winnipeg team has lived up to their expectations of the coach. I mean, minus 2 yards on that one. They are really doing a heck of a job on special teams.
Good coverage, and one of the reasons Mike Riley feels they excel on special teams is that they use their linebackers and defensive backs.
Well, the defensive backs and receivers, you know, you got Sampson, Zatilny, and then you have those linebackers that can really run, and they're good hitters in open field. That's what you want.
Blake Marshall back in the ball game. Les Brown is in there for Winnipeg as well. James West came across to make the tackle.
Try to run to that left side. You see, Taylor does a good job of bringing down Jones, but a good job. Look at him coming. Quincy Williams, 43. James West, 58. Bang, they're there to limit the gain to about 2 yards.
2nd and 8, Edmonton. Tracy Ham looking to throw. He got it away just in time. I think he saw all that pressure coming from the outside with Ty Jones on top of him quickly, and he simply fired that one as far as he could.
He threw it away. This is kind of a defense they call a robbers or thief. They take the middle linebacker and take one hook zone away from him and then gamble with the safety man Bovell into the other one. You throw it in there, it's going to be intercepted. Ham had no choice. Throw it away.
You know, Mike Riley talking about one of the reasons he expected the Blue Bombers to be better this year. He said, Tyrone Jones had an outstanding camp, came into the season really ready to play. Warren Hudson makes us more physical, Nick Benjamin more aggressive, and Dave Bovell has a chance to make us better consistently in the secondary.
Well, with all those games they play with the linebackers, their safety man has to tackle, and that's what Bovell gives him.
Ken Winey chased all the way back to the 50-yard line. Excellent kick by McAreedy, and Winey is stopped at the Edmonton 46.
You have to be impressed with the job that the Winnipeg defense has done. I mean, the Eskimos, they got a great offensive football team, but the Bombers have them, I don't know, they got them beat out a little bit. They're pressuring them, the passer, they're cutting their receivers. They're not giving them anything.
Winnipeg, the second lowest scoring team coming into the ball game. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have scored the fewest points this year. But Winnipeg also has given up the fewest points.
And that's the key.
1st and 10 from the 46. Burgess forced to step up into the pocket again. He fumbles the ball. Edmonton's got it. Pouncing on that football is Kevin Clark.
Wasn't able to put it away. Quarterback, when he starts to run, a lot of times has that ball gripped to throw. He didn't get it tucked away, and when he got pressure from the sides, watch him step up. Doesn't have anybody open. Now he's going to step up. He finds the lane. He escapes Bourgeau. Here it comes. I think 36 Stu Hill's going to come in, but it's Larry Ruck that throws that right hand out and bats it clean.
Kevin Clark recovering the fumble. The book on Clark is that he is a punishing hitter. He'll make players wary of going into that middle. Craig Ellis went into the middle, but he couldn't catch the pass from Tracy Ham.
Try to run those crossing patterns over the middle, but the Winnipeg defense, they're not blitzing all the time. This time they just drop back, and you can't find the hole. There's nowhere to throw it. Here comes that rush again. Blake Dermott, number 50, the left tackle, just keeps shoving to the outside. Quarterback can step up and escape.
2nd and 10. Intended for Colbert. Running stride for stride with him was Les Brown. Colbert scored his touchdown when Brown was hurt and out, and they had a replacement, Petway, on the corner. That time, Brown was running with him.
Well, you find out, that tells you, Don, just how valuable those defensive backs who sit on the corners are. They're one-on-one with the fastest receivers on the team, and play after play you come up with them like that. That's just outstanding defense. That time the pressure was on, so he had no help. He had to do it. He won the battle.
Do we make a case for the corners? Is that the toughest position to play?
On defense, I believe it is. I mean, you got the speed guys, and when you get beat, everybody in the park sees it.
McAreedy with a good kick. He has been booming him in this second half. Winey fumbles and has nowhere to go. There's also a penalty flag at the 38-yard line. A 54-yard punt, a 9-yard return. That flag came late, actually, after the tackle had been made and was about 15 yards away.
I think it's Rod Hill's involved, but I don't know. You know, it looked like it happened where he was.
So it is an illegal block against Winnipeg, and that will take them back closer to their goal line. Just 3 yards difference in the passing statistics of the two quarterbacks, with Tracy Ham now having the edge on Tom Burgess. He has the big throw of the ball game, that 41-yard strike to Craig Ellis. We said earlier in the telecast that the Edmonton Eskimos were just too good a defensive football team to continue giving up an average of 36 points per game. And I think what we've seen tonight has reconfirmed that they are a strong defensive football team.
And Winnipeg, we knew coming in, they'd given up the fewest, and they're showing everybody just how good they are.
Robert Mims broke the tackle and gets the first down. He broke out of the grasp of Danny Bass.
And you don't see that very often. That's the difference. You get up in there and get to him quick, and Warren Hudson gets through there. Danny Bass just didn't get low enough. And you don't see this. What's number 30? Right there. He tried to hit a big back high. You're going to pay for it. You got to get down underneath. And well, I'll tell you, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do that to Danny Bass. He's an outstanding middle linebacker.
Hudson has the size and the strength. 6'2", 225 pounds. He joined the Blue Bombers early in July. This is Robert Mims. And Mims gets a yard, not much more.
When you're starting to get the pressure, Burgess is starting to get a lot of pressure from that defense of the Eskimos. Try to run inside, hit them quick, try to trap them, try to do whatever you can to get that rush off of you.
Don Sutherland is the man responsible for the Edmonton secondary. You had an interesting visit with him this morning.
4 hours. We sat there 4 hours in a coffee shop today. We had a heck of a time.
Did you come up with any unique pass coverages?
No, not any.
2nd and 8. Burgess going deep, incomplete. He was looking in the direction of Eric Streeter, well covered by Keith Gooch.
Excellent coverage. He had to throw it away. So they came after him with a little bit of pressure from the backers again, and it was Danny Bass that gets to him just as he closed the football. There comes the pressure from the top. Now he's got to get away because here comes Hill, but there's Danny Bass, right, as he throws the football.
Bob Cameron stands at his own 22-yard line for this third down kick. His best kick was a 60-yarder in the first quarter. He just got that one away. Even when it appears he's trapped, the Gizmo manages to squirm for a couple of yards.
He gets upfield. You know, that's the main thing. He gets upfield. We said a couple. That's what he got, 2. Good coverage. You know, the best line of the day Southern had, we're sitting there talking, and at the hotel we're staying at today at the Westin, they said, we're going to have a fire drill today at 2 o'clock. I said, Sudsy, did you know we're having a fire drill today? He said, I don't need another one. I had one last week in Ottawa. He said, I don't need any more of those.
50-46 last week in Ottawa. It had been 26 years since the Eskimos had 50 points scored against them. Ham steps up. He does that very well. Throwing the ball, dumping it off on the run.
Scrambling around, buying time, dodging in and out, drops back and finds Blake Marshall. And then it takes Battle and James West to bring down the big guy.
And he's got a first down. It appeared as though Tracy Ham was going to be dropped for a sizable loss. He managed to scramble away from the pressure and turn it into a gain. 1st and 10 from the 45. Here he is again on the move. This time he's caught from behind by Ty Jones.
Tracy Ham does such a good job. If you watch Tracy Ham when he runs, he very seldom runs outside. He ducks inside, finds a lane, and takes off. Now this time, watch him. He ducks inside again. Here comes the rush from 72 Gray. He steps inside, but watch, there's no lane for him. So he has to stop, and then Tyrone Jones comes back and makes the hit.
And it's rare that one person is able to bring Tracy Ham down.
It always helps if he doesn't see you.
2nd and 11. Stan Nicholas after Ham. He's throwing deep for Keith Wright. He's got it. Again on the run, rolling to his left. Really the most difficult throw for a quarterback, rolling left, and he put a lot on that ball.
That was the key. Running to his left and throwing 53 yards downfield. Watch this. Try this sometime if you think it's easy. All your momentum's going away from you. You're throwing all arm, and he throws it, and Wright makes a heck of a catch. That's a good effort, 53 yards.
That takes the ball down to the Winnipeg 13-yard line. A 53-yard pass to Keith Wright.
You know what? I would have never thought he could throw that ball that far, running right diagonally to the sideline.
Joe Farragelli very happy with Keith Wright. He feels he provides the team with the outside speed they have been looking for. Draw play with Reggie Taylor, wrapped up immediately by Albert Williams.
That Albert Williams is an interesting guy. I've been waiting for him. He's 6'3", 240-pound rookie linebacker. Now, you talk about the speed of the Bombers at the linebacker position. He's like a runaway train at that big.
Farragelli and Durchik looking on intently. 2nd and 10 Edmonton. Colbert is wide right. Penalty flags. There was movement at the line of scrimmage. It almost appeared as though one of those offensive linemen pulled out of his stance prior to the ball being snapped.
Oh, he did. Randy Ambrosie's coming out to lead Tracy Ham on a sprint out. What happened there, the crowd got into it. They had to relay the signals. You don't hear as well.
Edmonton number 66. Still 2nd down.
And the offensive lineman moved. They blamed Trevor Bowles. I thought it was the guard. Let's see who it is.
It was.
It is the guard.
Actually, both of them moved, but it appeared to be Ambrosie who moved first. This one is knocked down in the end zone.
That's why he's back there. You know, I was looking down there. He's standing about 8 yards deep in the end zone. He's back there for one reason. You try to throw that ball in the end zone, and he'll be there. And Bavell was there to make the defensive play.
As you mentioned earlier, he's from Hamilton. It's amazing the number of young players in the league from the Hamilton area.
Well, it's really surprising, too. You know, all at once, all of a sudden they're there. You know, Bavell played at Winona High. Jeff Croonan played at Westmount. Richard Nurse is from there in Hamilton. And then you got Boyko and Bushy and Gioscus in Saskatchewan, all in 1 year.
The Eskimos were trying to call a timeout, it appeared, and they are going to have a time count violation. I think they're a man short on their field goal unit. Well, no. Nobody's coming on.
Time count violation. Edmonton number 10. Still 3rd down.
They had too many men.
That was the problem.
That's pretty good. That's thinking.
Danny Bass is the one who waved it off and said, don't snap the ball. Stuart Hill was out there and shouldn't have been. Field goal attempt by McAreedy is good, and the Edmonton Eskimos regain the lead with 26 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
That's a heads-up play. You know, we've seen it with not enough guys. I think that's the first time I've ever seen it where there was too many men.
Well, the Eskimos scored a field goal on their very first possession. And then they had to wait until 26 seconds remaining in the third quarter to regain the lead.
The arms on him for a defensive back at 210 pounds and got good speed. That's who Mike Riley yesterday at a meeting with him, Don. We were sitting in there. He said that he's a very physical ball player. And he said in our gambling defense, we count on our safety man to make a lot of tackles, and that's what he'll do for us.
He was talking about 1986 when Benny Thompson was playing here and was known as the Hitman. That's Leroy Blue with an ice bag on that right knee, which is not a good sign. Obviously, he is finished for the night. Steve Zatilny on the kickoff return. He's got the speed of his brother. He needs a little more experience.
I think he's a little bit bigger, too, down there talking with him, but he's got great speed. He's a track man. What did he run? 60 meters in 7.08 seconds. That's moving pretty good.
26 yards on the return for Steve Zatilny. Wally had a great game on Saturday against the Toronto Argonauts as a kickoff and punt returner. It seemed every time he touched the football, he was within one player of breaking it for a touchdown. He did have a 93-yard run.
He was within one man. And one time he went 93, and I thought he was going every time he touched the ball. Steve said he's going to better that tonight. He's going to have to hustle.
Warren Hudson, the ball carrier, straight ahead for a gain of maybe 5 yards.
The Eskimo defense the second half has been very stingy. The Bombers have been losing field position on every exchange of kicks. We noticed earlier in that quarter, they had it down here on around the 40, and they ended up back here on the 20 on the third exchange of kicks.
Don Sutherland, Urban Bowman on the sidelines, two assistant coaches. Burgess over the middle. Fans react as Andre Francis took James Murphy out of the play. They thought there should have been a penalty call, but there was no flag, and that's the end of the third quarter. Well, to start the fourth quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers send out the punt unit. Andre Francis doing an excellent job of defending against James Murphy, although 24,320 at Winnipeg Stadium thought there should have been a penalty flag. Gizmo waits for the kick back at the 5-yard line. James West was the man who got down there to make the tackle after a booming Bob Cameron punt of 58 yards. Scott?
Well, Don, a tough break for Eskimo linebacker Leroy Blue. He got a chance to start this week in place of Jeff Braswell, who's back in Edmonton with a knee injury, and now Blue has one himself. He has slightly strained a ligament in his right knee. As you can see, it's iced down right now. They don't think it's serious enough to warrant arthroscopic surgery or anything like that, but it's pretty clear that Leroy Blue will not be back in this game tonight.
And you get an idea of how warm it is in Winnipeg tonight as well. I think I can safely say he won't be taking off his sweater a month from now at Winnipeg Stadium, nor at the 1991 Grey Cup game. Chris Johnstone, the ball carrier. A gain of about 5 yards as we look at the statistics through 45 minutes of play. The Eskimos have regained the lead in net yards as they have on the scoreboard. Time of possession, not much different.
Turnovers and time of possession about even. It should be a one-point game. That's what it is.
Key play here. Colbert on the sidelines, can't hang on. Les Brown was defending against him.
Well, Les Brown's playing as well this year for the Bombers as I've seen him play in a long time. He just seems to be playing with the confidence that he had a few years ago. Tough man to beat on the corner. Watch him go up, gets that hand in there, bats it away. No problem.
McAreedy stands at the goal line for this third down kick. Winnipeg with just one man back They'll be going after this, but there's movement at the line of scrimmage. Stan Mikowicz jumped prior to the ball being snapped. Winey on the return, and this effort is going to go for naught.
We're going to have offside, and we're going to have an illegal block. So it's going to come close to giving them a first down. Illegal block.
The illegal block was against Winnipeg,
right.
not Edmonton.
That's right. I'm looking over at the yardsticks, Don. I say if they take the 5-yard penalty, they're going to be very, very close to a first down.
I think they're going to be just a touch shy.
That's right. But I mean, then you got to make a decision. I don't know how this is going to work. We're going to hear about it right now.
Winnipeg decline. Offside. Winnipeg number 77. Third down repeated.
It's third and about 2 feet.
There's not much to go. I think they got to go after this one. Tracy Hand's back on the field. They only have to get across the white line, don't they? A little bit across it.
That's about all. So the Eskimos can retain possession if they can get the ball across that 20-yard stripe. On third down, Tracy Ham keeps. He's got the first down.
Well, I'll tell you, that offside, I mean, Mike Riley's got to really wonder about that. You're lined up right in front of the football. How can you be offside? You know, that's a tough break because they had great field position.
They were going to get the ball back, certainly within field goal range of Trevor Kennard, even if they didn't make a first down.
That's right. I mean, they just sacrificed. They were almost at this point with the football. Even with the penalty, they had an excellent chance.
Well, the Eskimos offensively are below their seasonal average, but they are leading 13-12, and they're playing much better defensively. Reggie Taylor broke the first tackle and then is pushed back by 3 defenders, including Quincy Williams.
Well, I'll tell you, with all the talk about no defense in the league, we've seen 2 defenses tonight that know how to play football. This has been a very, very physical, defensive-minded game, and it just seems like the blitz at the right time, they get things going.
And Winnipeg continuing to go without a huddle defensively.
They like it. Mike Riley said yesterday he loves having no huddle on defense.
They make one-word calls defensively. Craig Ellis gets the first down.
You know what Mike Riley said about the no huddle defense is this. He says, when we make the call, it's a one word. He says, but now everybody has to be in the game and thinking of their responsibilities right now. He said, when you're signaling in and you call the huddle, a lot of times guys don't pay attention. Then they have to start asking, what was the call? He said, this way you must concentrate.
Winnipeg used that no-huddle defense to counteract Toronto's no-huddle offense 2 games back, and they've stuck with it and probably will stay with it throughout the year. Intended for Colbert. It's deflected by Les Brown. There is a penalty flag at the 50-yard line. It looks as though this one will also go against Winnipeg.
James West was trying to come out into the flat to cover Reggie Taylor. There was a bump inside. They're going to call interference on Winnipeg.
I'm not so sure. The way Rod Hill is reacting, I think they may be calling a pick against Edmonton.
Okay, then it's a pick. I thought the initial call was they were going to call it the other way, but pretty close.
There was no infraction. The ball was touched over the line of scrimmage prior to the interference.
I don't understand the call. Ball was touched over the line of scrimmage. The guy that touched the ball was James West. That's the guy that they felt was the interferer, that he felt he was being picked. They felt he was holding. I don't understand the call by just saying it's being touched. Let's check that one out.
2nd and 10. Incomplete. Ham saw the blitz coming, tried to hit Taylor over the middle.
See, last week against Ottawa, when Tracy Ham dumped the ball to Reggie Taylor and he went to touchdown, he got by the linebacker Greg Stuman. Stuman said he just had a mental lapse. This time, they've tried to do this twice tonight, and both times Taylor's been covered. So, you know, you do study the film. You get the films from the game before, you don't let them do it again.
11:08 is the time remaining. 13-12. The Eskimos lead the Blue Bombers here at Winnipeg Stadium. Just under 25,000 taking in the action on a beautiful summer evening. That's a beautiful kick by McAreedy. Winey hesitated, looked for a couple of blocks that failed to develop up the middle, and Winnipeg will scrimmage 1st and 10 from the 43 when we return.
We want to remind our audience our lineup on Sports Weekend on Saturday includes the first home telecast of the George Foreman Ken LaCusta heavyweight fight in Edmonton on Tuesday night. Canadians Matthew Hilton and Scotty Olsen were also on that card. You'll see their fights on Sports Weekend. And we'll preview the 1996 Olympic Games bids. Toronto, one of the serious contenders to host those games. It all starts at 3 o'clock Eastern on Sports Weekend. Don?
Just under 25,000, as we mentioned earlier, taking in the action tonight at Winnipeg Stadium. They've been treated to the best defensive battle of the year in the CFL. A year when many people thought that defense was simply a word that no one paid any attention to.
And if there's anyone who gets upset at that, is defensive ball players and defensive coaches. But I tell you, they put the word back in use tonight.
Burgess to Hudson, met immediately by David Shelton.
Had the pressure on him, but Burgess escaped it and made the throw. Excellent job by Tom Burgess. All right, here comes Bob Molly pulling. There's the fake Sims, but what's coming behind? There he is. Who is it? Like Bourgeau, but he escapes it, throws a strike, and then he pays for it.
Mike McLean is in there at that linebacking position, replacing the injured Leroy Blue. Harry Tuttle makes the catch. Winnipeg has the first down. There's also a penalty flag. As a matter of fact, there are 2 of them. It looks as though the call will go against Edmonton. Pass interference, the call against Joe Farragelli's Eskimos.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 19. Decline. First down.
It was Shelton working against Ken Winey that resulted in the pass interference call, but the catch was made anyway.
Catch went away from him, went to the other side of the field, but they got Shelton in the ball game now, going with those 5 imports in the secondary.
Shelton at the halfback position. Clark moves to safety. Deep for James Murphy. He can't catch up with him.
Too much arm. Tom knew it as soon as he threw it. As soon as Burgess threw the ball, he knew it was too far. He shook his head, just walked away. Watch Murphy take off. Goes inside of Francis. Francis has to turn and run. He's got him split. He's got Shelton and Francis split, but he just can't catch up to the ball. So he knew. Worst thing in the world. Quarterback hates that. You get a guy open and you don't get him the ball.
2nd and 10, Winnipeg. Ball at the 46. Here comes the pressure. Dumped off to Winey. He can't hang on. Had Winey been able to squeeze that, he wouldn't have had a first down, but he was in field goal range for Trevor Kennard.
Yeah, I don't think they're quite in field goal range now. It'll be a long one. We'll take a look and see, but I don't see Trevor Kennard out there. I see Bob Cameron. Yeah, he would have missed by about 3 yards, but the field goal would have only had to be 45 yards or so then.
9:18 remaining, and Bob Cameron is certainly capable of reaching the end zone. Although I think ideally Winnipeg would like to angle it out of bounds at about the 5.
That's just what I was going to ask you. Would you want him to get a single point or kick it out of bounds?
He's trying to kick it out of bounds, and he was getting pressure. He didn't get it nearly as deep as he wanted to.
He's lucky he didn't get it blocked.
The Eskimos were going after that one, and Colbert almost got there.
Well, 1 week ago tonight, the Ottawa Roughriders won their first game at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa when they beat these Edmonton Eskimos, and that should ensure a good crowd for Lansdowne Park 1 week from tonight when the Riders play their first home game since that win over the Eskimos. They're at Lansdowne Park 1 week tonight, Thursday night, to play the Hamilton Ticats. We'll have the telecast on the CFL on CBC at 7:30 Eastern. Don?
But before that game next week, both teams have engagements. This week, Hamilton at Calgary tomorrow night, and Ottawa at Toronto on Saturday night. One other CFL game tonight, Saskatchewan at BC.
What's right in the middle? 27, Mims misses Colbert. Watch how close. Wow, only 18 yards and almost was blocked.
8:50 is the time remaining as the Eskimos nurse a 1-point lead. Reggie Taylor trying to get outside, and he got away from the first man and turns it into a 10-yard gain. Quincy Williams appeared to have Reggie Taylor trapped for a loss, but he escaped him.
Watch him coming. Little counter coming around the corner. Trevor Bowles is one of them. Now out in front of him, Rod Conniff. The two big guys lead him. Occupy James West, and you cut inside and run. Good job of running. Good blocking.
First and 10 Edmonton from the 40-yard line. They've got the football. They lead by a point. Winnipeg desperately needs it with 8:07 remaining. Daryl Sampson defending against Marco Sincar. There was a bit of a collision. Sincar looking for a penalty flag, but no nylon hit the artificial turf.
Tracy Ham read the pressure coming. You saw Craig Ellis run back into his slot back position and get in a blocking formation to help out, so you know they were anticipating a man-to-man with a lot of pressure.
Second and 10. Here's that pressure again. Craig Ellis on the sidelines, overthrown. So the Blue Bombers will get that football back.
You could almost see that one coming. The safety man, Dave Babel, got up there a little bit too close. When you see a safety man lined up at 5 yards, leaning, you know he's coming, and he was up there. He gave it away a little bit too early, and Ham saw it. Just wasn't able to hit the pass.
Is that one of the initial reads of a quarterback, the safety man?
Sure, he's always lined up 12, 14 yards deep, but you see him up at 5. He's not up there for his health. He's up there for your health.
To try and alter your health. Good kick by McAready. He has been punting well tonight. Ken Winey has no blocking help as the Bombers were going after a block themselves in that one, and Winey was surrounded immediately by 4 tacklers. That was a 49-yard kick. He only got 3 yards on the return.
You know, we talked about the punting ability of Bob Cameron. McAreedy's outkicked him tonight in that second half. That has been the difference in the field position. He has done a tremendous job hitting that football.
Through the first 30 minutes of this ball game, Tom Burgess had the edge passing on his Edmonton counterpart, but Tracy Ham has now moved over 200 passing yards.
Didn't Tom have about 160-some at the half? It's only 20 yards. That Eskimo defense is getting stingy.
Warren Hudson takes it over the middle, but he's held to a gain of 6 yards.
We've seen Danny Bass in the backfield tonight hitting quarterbacks. This time we see him dropping back, then coming up front and making the tackle.
6:53 is the time remaining. 13-12. The Eskimos clinging to a 1-point lead.
What's the ball, fella?
It's 2nd and 3, Winnipeg. There's a penalty flag as Streeter was interfered with by Keith Gooch. Gooch is protesting, but those complaints fall on deaf ears. I don't think there's much doubt he came up over the back of Eric Streeter.
Oh, he sure did. I don't think there's any doubt about this call. You see Don Southern or Joe Ferragelli over there not too
Forward pass
happy about
interference. Edmonton number 18. First down.
We're going to look at it. Here comes the ball. Pretty close. Pretty darn close. I don't know whether he slipped or not, but Gooch argued, but hey, they all do.
Officials in any sport rarely see the need for unsolicited advice.
No, they don't. And they got a tough job, too. I mean, we're looking at it on a replay, and we couldn't even hardly tell what happened. So, you know, that's tough enough. I think it's close enough to call.
The initial reaction was that there was no doubt that he came over his back.
Outside. Edmonton number 61. First down repeated.
Mike Walker still looking for his first sack as an Edmonton Eskimo.
Yeah, talking with him last night, Don. We're standing outside the hotel talking with him. He says, yeah, he said, I just can't. He said, I'm not going to be an Eskimo till I get a sack. If he keeps jumping off side quick, he'll be able to get there first.
1st and 5. Boy, they have not been able to run with any consistency against these Eskimos tonight.
Look who's on the bottom of that pile is number 61, Walker. You got Bourgeau, you got Stuart Hill, you got them all there, everybody.
That defensive line going out for dinner last night, they had the rookie, Rob Davidson, with them, and they said, he's buying. I wouldn't want to pick up that tab.
Well, just think how much they would eat with Williams and Walker. And now, Davidson's not little. He's 6'4", 275, and they really like him.
Intended for Warren Hudson, incomplete. So with 5:28 remaining, Winnipeg again is forced to send out the punting team.
They fooled Tom Burgess that time. They went into what you call a corner coverage or cloud coverage, the corner in the flat. If he throws that ball on the money, Gooch has gone the other way. Good thing he threw it high.
(13-12). The Eskimos lead. Bob Cameron needs a big kick here. Trying to angle it. Restricting the return area for the Gizmo. There's a penalty flag in the play. This is going to be a blocking from the rear penalty against a very upset Larry Ruck. He took down Tyrone Jones, who was limping, as he heads back to that Winnipeg bench.
This is going to be close also. I mean, I think he did it.
5:05 is the time remaining, with the Eskimos leading by 1.
Ruck was upset, but watch him at the top of the screen. What? He puts the hands on the back of Tyrone Jones and gives him a push. That is an illegal block. He didn't call it clipping. It's illegal push. You can't push him in the back.
Larry Ruck, a product of the Saskatoon Hilltops. We were talking with the coaching staff about the play of Ruck this year, and they said again last night, they don't believe they could find an import to play that linebacking position as well as he is playing it.
Yeah, he's had an outstanding career. You know, you put him with Danny Bass. They have played together so long. They know their moves. They know what's expected, and he executes everything so well. He is a good football player.
Tracy Ham throwing over the middle. A fine catch by Craig Ellis.
That's threading the needle, too. A little bit of bootleg action, roll away, and he just dumps it right in the middle to Ellis amongst a lot of blue jerseys. Watch the throw. Nice throw. He got those jerseys. He just got it there. Ellis has nice hands, doesn't he? Grab that ball with the fingertips and then pulls it in.
4:26 is the time remaining. 1st and 10 from the 23-yard line. Ham throwing deep. Reggie Taylor could not hang on.
Tracy Ham slow getting up, and the guy that hit him was number 29, Dave Bovell, on that safety blitz. He came free again. That's why they went into the middle.
This doesn't look good.
Having a little trouble walking right now. Needs to buy some time. See that other quarterback warming up over there, Steve Taylor. Watch him. wide open, no safety man, see? Bavell's in the backfield hitting Tracy Ham. Go to the hole, that's where the hole was. And here comes the hit. It wasn't much of a hit. I think it's just the way he landed.
Ham is staying in there. But he's not going to get, well, he did. I didn't think he was going to beat the 20-second clock. He beat it, but he could not beat the safety blitz that time, and the pressure from Mike Gray.
Greg Battle, Mike Gray is there, and Mike Gray gets a sack. Tyrone Jones was also in there. But Mike Riley was right yesterday. He said, we're flying around and getting to the football, and they're making things happen.
They were very happy to get Mike Gray back into the lineup as well.
Here they come. You see Albert Williams right here at the bottom. Tyrone Jones is fighting, and there comes Gray. Sacks him.
Tracy Ham still limping slightly as he heads off to that Edmonton bench. Winnipeg will get the ball back in excellent field position. McAreedy kicks from the end zone. Another big kick. Winey has to go back to his own 53. And Winey does a good job of running it back to the Edmonton 38-yard line.
Always looking for that edge. They think they grab a face mask or hit out of bounds, whatever. I thought it was a pretty good defensive play. 20-yard return, 47-yard kick. Here he comes, swinging wide outside. Better look out, he's running right at you. Here comes what they were arguing about. Nothing wrong with that. He didn't grab the face mask. That's a good tackle by Mark Norman.
But the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have the ball at the Edmonton 38, first and 10. Pitch to Robert Mims. He gets maybe 5 yards with 2:55 remaining in the game. So we have Edmonton leading by a single point, but Winnipeg in position to move in front. That's the time remaining. Edmonton in front by a single point. A solid defensive battle tonight at Winnipeg Stadium. Tracy Ham has taken some punishment tonight. He's been forced to contend with a variety of blitz packages thrown up by Winnipeg.
Well, you got to confuse him. Like we said earlier, he's still young. He may be a heck of a football player, but he's still young, and they're confusing him. They're confusing the blocking patterns is what they're doing, and they're getting the pressure on to Tracy Ham. Steve Taylor. He's on the roster now for 3 games. 6 foot, 205 pounds, out of Nebraska. I'll tell you, I watched him in college. He is an athlete.
Well, before the season started, they decided that Warren Jones and Steve Taylor would alternate 3 games apiece as the backup quarterback to Tracy Ham. 2nd and 4. Robert Mims breaks it. .234 remaining.
You saw the tackle missed in the backfield, and Mims spun off of it and had clear sailing. Good job.
Well, last week, in that loss to the BC Lions, Mike Riley, because of the confusion over the score, didn't go for a 2-point conversion. Will he here?
Oh, you got to. 18-13, you're up 5. Touchdown beat you. If you hit the 2, it takes the touchdown and convert to tie you. You got to go for 2 here.
Well, they're
not doing it.
Penalty flag on the play.
You better hope Edmonton's offside because they need to talk this over. Touchdown will beat you right now, right? Regardless. I think they're going to talk this over. Let's see what happens.
Yes, they are going to go for 2. The signal came from the bench, I think.
Offside. Edmonton number 18. The convert is good. 5 yards will be applied on the kickoff.
Uh-oh. They did. They had to take the penalty if they had the choice. Let's see what they're talking about it right now.
They're going to decline the penalty. They're going to get a chance to go for 2.
Yeah, they're going to take that penalty. They have to.
Winnipeg has elected to take the offside and repeat the convert.
I'm surprised after the problem last week and all the discussion that Mike Riley wouldn't have made an instant decision to go for 2 here.
So we had a nice talk with Mike about it. We had a nice talk with Farragilly. The head coach always is responsible for plus and minus. You're a +5. That's no good. 6 points beat you. You got to get the 2-point conversion, then a 7. That's great. If you don't get it, you just got to play better defense, but at least you got to go after it right now.
So given a reprieve, Mike Riley sends out the offense to try for 2.
All right, let's see what they do. Do you sprint Burgess out, or do you run a pick and try to get Hudson out in the flat?
Penalty flag. The ball is intercepted in the end zone, and remember, it's a live ball on a 2-point convert try. Andre Francis picked it up, but there was a penalty flag before the ball was thrown. It's going against Edmonton. You know, the conversion has become an interesting play in the CFL in the last couple of years.
Everybody thought it was a dead play. All of a sudden, we've had everything happen. I mean, ball flying around, getting 2 or 3 shots at it, interceptions. A guy almost ran one back last week in a game we did. This is good.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 14 will repeat the convert from 1 yard
on the
line.
1 yard line. Do you run or throw? I think you run. I think 1 yard. They have to give you a yard. This is the time where you find out what you're made of. You run the football, and this is just like a 3rd and 1. You get 1 shot at it.
The 3rd attempt at a 2-point convert. They're going to pass. They've got it. Wide open is Warren Hudson.
Great call. I know I say run, but I love them third down gambles, and that's what that was. Good play action, and Hudson's out there all by himself. Watch this. That's the touchdown. You see right here, Larry Ruck misses the tackle. We see an excellent block up front by Steve Rowe, the Huskers. And then all it is Mims outruns everybody into the end zone. And that set up the big decision of the 2 points. Look at that hole and look at him run. Well, they've been trying all night to get him open. Finally did it, and they couldn't pick a better time in the last 3 minutes of the game. Now they've got a 7-point lead.
With 2:34 remaining. But almost the wrong decision, because they kicked the single point first of all. The first time he threw the ball, it was intercepted. On the second time, after the pass interference, he made it good. Darryl Colbert returns it to the 40-yard line.
Pretty good hit over there by another rookie from Auburn, Quentin Riggins, 61-yard kick, 26-yard return, but Riggins, number 76. Again, them linebackers on the special teams down there making the tackles.
Well, now this Winnipeg defense will be tested because there is still a lot of time. Here's the 2-point convert to Warren Hudson, wide open all by himself.
Good play action. The 2 receivers go into the inside, and then all the fullback does is sneak right out in the flat. Good call, good execution.
Fans are really into this ball game tonight at Winnipeg Stadium, particularly with the Bombers in front now by 7. Here comes Williams. Ham got it away. It's incomplete. It was deflected, and then Keith Wright couldn't grab it.
I think it was deflected by 72. Williams. Well, I'll tell you, the pressure, is he coming close to getting sacked? Watch him coming. Watch right to the left of your screen. There he goes. 43, Quincy Williams. He's going to come after him. Somebody's going to turn and help him out. There it is. Taylor turns around and helps him.
Second and 10, Edmonton. 2:23 remaining in the game. Winnipeg in front by 7. Craig Ellis is open. He'll get the first down and much more. Apparently he stepped out of bounds before he was stopped by Les Brown. He stepped out at the 40-yard line.
I'll tell you one thing. I would say we get a good look at it on this replay. No, we're not going to get to see it. We're going to see him wide open. The question is how he got open. There's a crossing route, and Ken Petway never had a chance to get out there. Ellis has caught it and turned upfield before Petway ever does show up.
Inside the Winnipeg 40, it's 1st and 10 Edmonton. Craig Ellis has been the key receiver in that Edmonton passing scheme tonight. Good fake inside. Now here comes the screen back to Reggie Taylor. And Taylor is close to a first down. Taken out of bounds by Dave Bavell.
Long time since we've seen this. Sprint out one side and screen all the way across the field. But watch James West. He's not fooled. He comes over. Good block. Pierre Vercheval, 54, gives him a good block, and then Taylor does the rest and gets it out of bounds. 158, and they need to score.
They have to get the touchdown. How important that two-point convert was now. Craig Ellis is open. Inside the 10, inside the 5.
Boy, did he... This is great. We're going to get a good shot. Good ISO right here. Mo Waters finds Craig Ellis. Watch the pattern that he runs. Watch him turn the defensive back right around. Look at him. He turned his back on him. He's wide open. He makes the catch. Now the back has to come back and try to make the tackle. Sampson never had a chance. Excellent pattern. Well-thrown football, and now they're down inside the 5.
1st and goal for the Eskimos. On this warm evening, it looks as though they could be playing extra time. Tracy Ham will try and run it in. He will.
Fake the draw. All you do is fake the draw, hold them, and then with your athletic ability, Tracy Ham's athletic ability, outside and gone.
Bill Farragelli wouldn't gamble on 2 here, would he?
Not a chance. Not a chance. Watch it. Here's the fake. Fake the draw. See, that freezes Greg Battle and James West. Now they can't get back outside to make the play.
I don't think there's a linebacker in the league who's going to outrun Tracy Ham.
No, not when he gets outside of it. Good fake. Good fake. There it is. Hide the ball. Now run. I think you better kick the 1 here and be happy.
1:21 is the time remaining. Actually, still plenty of time. Penalty flag on the play as McAreedy ties the game. Tracy Ham putting together that big drive with 2:34 remaining after Winnipeg had scored the touchdown and the 2-point convert to take a 7-point lead.
Winnipeg number 10. Convert is good. 5 yards will be applied on the kickoff.
Don, we talked about Craig Ellis being an offensive key. The reason, well, we're going to take another look at the touchdown first. You see him just try to get outside and outrun him, and he's got the angle, got the speed, and he gets in. But we're talking about Craig Ellis again. Whenever Winnipeg's going to give you all those different blitzes inside with those linebackers, the area that's open is the area they vacate. That's why we figure you've got to get the ball into Ellis. But as it's turned out, he's caught more on the out route than he has to the inside. But he has caught him.
And now if Winnipeg doesn't move the football with that 5 yards applied on the convert, or on the kickoff as a result of the offside and the convert, Edmonton could be in position to kick a single point for the winning point.
That's right. With the 1:21 left, we've got a lot of time. So you're right. A lot of things can happen.
Steve Zatilny from the 20-yard line. Darrell Colbert brought him down at the 21. Zatilny tried to get outside, and he didn't pick up the yardage he was hoping for.
Like he went from one side of the field all the way to the other. By the time you do that, you'll just every time you look up, there'll be another jersey. Somewhere you have to make a decision to make the cut upfield, and he didn't do it. It's good coverage by the Eskimos.
1:12 is the time remaining with the score tied at 20. Winnipeg has already been involved in an overtime game this year in their first contest of the season on July 12th against the Ottawa Roughriders. Here's that hitch screen to James Murphy. And Murphy takes it up to the 43-yard line. That was a big play for Winnipeg.
And the big mistake, if you want to call it that, Andre Francis, instead of making him come back to the inside, he gets blocked to the inside and allows Murphy out. Here it comes. You see Hudson 37 and Nick Benjamin. There's the block right there by Warren Hudson, and trying to avoid it, Francis jumps inside and gives Murphy room to run. Big play.
1:06 remaining, 1st and 10 Winnipeg. They are at their own 43-yard line. House is open at the Edmonton 45.
Talk about touch. You know, you see quarterbacks throw the ball hard, but this is a touch pattern. Watch how Tom Burgess really drops it right over top of the linebacker. Watch this. This is pretty. Look at Danny Bass. Watch how he lets it go. That's touch. Just loft it over. That's a heck of a throw. Heck of a throw.
You know, Winnipeg has been involved in 3 of the last 4 overtime games played in the CFL. 1 this year and 2 last year. They're now 1st and 10 from the Edmonton 45. Burgess throwing deep. Nobody there. Edmonton hasn't been involved in an overtime game since November 1st, 1986, when they battled to a 16-16 tie with Ottawa.
Well, with 40 seconds left and the ball on the 45, it's a 52-yard field goal and even a longer punt. They need to get, I would say, about 10 yards. They need 10 to 15 yards on this play right now. The question is, will Edmonton blitz them?
What do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to come after him real hard. Man, upfield man.
House makes the catch.
When you see upfield man, what I mean is the linebackers start like they're going to blitz, but all they're doing is making the back stay in because they're going to cover a man-to-man. But what it does, it opened the area. Watch the linebacker. You see Ruff. Here he comes. His area is open. Bang. Burgess throws the ball in there, and House makes the catch.
For almost 57 minutes of this football game, both teams were having trouble moving the ball. Suddenly, we have the ball moving it back and forth, up and down the field.
21 seconds.
The pitch to Robert Mims to the 30-yard line. Winnipeg wanting to get this in position for Trevor Kennard to kick a field goal.
You know what Burgess is over there asking? Do you want to run another play? Yes, run another play. Kennard should know. I mean, Tom Burgess should know where Kennard likes to kick the ball. In the middle, on a hash, whatever. Burgess should run the football to that spot.
Well, they better run it quickly.
They call timeout.
They're going to have to call a timeout.
I don't like that. Now, I think they're going to have to kick at this play.
They had huddled up, and that clock was running as soon as the referee blew his whistle because of the previous running play.
Now, you saw Mike Riley turn and walk away, shaking his head. Tom's over there pleading his case. But, like, when you get down, this is a critical time in ball games. You don't make mistakes. You know, the quarterback has to know where the kicker likes to kick from. You know, like they talk in the locker room and that. If we have to put it somewhere, what do you want? You want it in the middle, you want it on the right hash, you want it in the left hash. And this play should put the ball in that position for Trevor Kennard to win the game. They got time. The clock doesn't start till the snap. All you want to do is run to a position and fall down. Let's see where Kennard wants it. That's
directly in front of the goalpost. 5 seconds remain.
Edmonton will probably call timeout now.
Well, as Lou Pasaglia had the chance to be a hero and win it last week against Winnipeg in the final play, Trevor Kennard gets an opportunity to be a hero for the Blue Bombers and win it on the final play.
And you see right there what Joe Paragelli was telling the two guys going in to get in that end zone. If he misses it, kick it out of there. We've got to get it out of there because 1 point beats you. They're going to have their two big guys, you know, looks like the Giz, and then Colbert going back in there. That's his kick returners. But if it's close enough to run it out, you'll run it out. But if it's a deep, you better kick it out of there in a hurry.
A 37-yard field goal attempt by Trevor Kennard to win the ball game. It's good. But 2 seconds still remain.
That's the way you're supposed to do it. You put it in the position. tell you one thing, if we get a replay on it, watch the snap. The snap wasn't real crisp. It just didn't come back bang. Cameron had to reach out and grab it. Watch it. Not real hard. It wasn't high. He had to move to get it. What you want to do is catch it and get it down there. 1.1 from snap to kick.
2 seconds remain. And is there anything left but a Hail Mary pass for the Edmonton Eskimos?
No, that's all they have. And if you look at the Bombers, it looks like they're getting ready for a kickoff. They're spread out so far over the field.
They've got 4 50 yards deep.
Now they're looking for a tip. They don't want to catch it. They want the interference and then a tip. Didn't get it.
And that is the final play of the ball game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a 3-point victory, 23-20 over the Edmonton Eskimos. The Eskimos now 2-2, and they remain in second place in the West. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3-1 atop the Eastern Division.
The funny part is, Winnipeg was kind of looked on. They weren't going to be very good this year. They get Burgess, but that's not the key. The key is never count them out because of their defense. Think back a year ago. They finished way down 5, 6, or 7 in offense, but their defense almost won them the Eastern Championship. Their defense is always ready.
Well, they've got the best defensive record as far as points go against this year in the CFL. The defense played well, but when they needed it, Tom Burgess put together a couple of drives that got them the go-ahead touchdown and then the winning field goal. And Mike Riley has every reason to smile tonight as his team improves to 3-1 with a 23-20 victory over the Edmonton Eskimos at Winnipeg Stadium.